That's copyrighted. Are we live yet? That would have been an inappropriate sound to start on. Not really. It just sounds like I'm moaning. Okay, what do they want? A song? My name is Jimmy and you better not wear it out. Debating MAGA even if it gives me gout. I'm here with Eve was framed. She goes by Promise Now. Let's watch MAGA defend their modern golden cow. Oh, let's put on the goddamn show. Could we fade away and we do the other thing now?
The golden cow was a nice touch. That was good.
Yeah. And then the blast from the past. Eve was framed. I have wanted the first segment of that song to be my like theme. I've always wanted, but I looked it up years ago, back when I was doing like the Sometime show and viewership was pretty good and everything was nice, to try and find out if I could make just the faded in theme song of my show. I tried to look up licensing. It probably would have cost way too much. I mean, in my head at the time, I was probably naive thinking it was possible because they're one of the biggest bands of all time. But I wanted the start of the band or the start of every show to be, my name is Jimmy and you better not wear it out. And then just fade to without the vocals, but fade in with just the music behind. But that would have been so tight, dude. Anyway,
Amazing.
Welcome.
I'm getting that echo that we did last week. I don't know if that matters. We'll see if it gets fixed.
Which echo? Am I echoing or are you echoing?
No, I am. It's like I'm coming through in a delay. But I think maybe that's just going to happen because, transatlantic problems.
I tighten my... Well, that's confusing because everybody's going to go, what does Takis have to do with this?
Sorry.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I mean across the ocean.
Obviously, when anybody anywhere says transatlantic, everyone everywhere thinks of the Transatlantic Call-In Show. The only people...
As they should.
It's like, yo, there we go. Anyway, I hate it here. This is Calling It Out. I'm Jimmy Snow, and this is Promise. Promise, do you do a longer name now online, or do you stick to Promise now? For now.
I mean, I feel like on the line I'm Promise, but then I'm doing... my last name is out there, if that's what you're asking.
No, I know, and I'm curious if you're wanting it in the lead up to your book eventually coming out. Are you wanting to familiarize your people with the full name?
Not yet, because I think it's fun to just be on a first name basis over here. This feels like home. I like to keep it casual over here.
There's going to be a point where people are recommending your book, and they'll be like, just Google Promise, and then they're going to go like, just Google Promise, and it'll be like, Promise You Should Be a Christian by Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. It's really bad. Yeah. It's really bad if you Google just my name. Kirk Cameron made a video about me one time. Remember that? That was fun. I
did not remember that. What did he say about you?
It was him and Michael Knowles. They watched one of my videos and
he was there.
They tried to, they didn't really have much to say other than I think something about he was going to be praying for my soul or something really condescending and pity. Like,
I'm always very hesitant to allow things into my algorithm. Because so I only ever heard that story from your perspective. I never actually went and watched them do it. I didn't give them the
I didn't
view.
Want to watch it.
My form of activism is not giving them the one view. That's real activism. And you know what I did the other day? I unsubscribed from somebody because I'm an activist. I love when I get a comment like that where I'm like, this is it. This is what you do. They're like, I'm unsubbing. But all of you wonderful people who are here, you are not unsubbing because you're fucking wonderful. Look at me. Look at me.
And you're subbing if you haven't already.
You're the best around. Nothing's ever going to keep you down. I wrote that just now. Top of my head.
It's impressive.
I came up with that.
I'm gonna get that stuck in my head.
Everybody, there's a really cool feature now on the live streams. Just double tap the screen and you'll see what it does. So on this vertical live, just double tap in the middle of the screen. Really awesome feature. I'm tricking them into clicking like, so it'll go and algorithm us more. We're here to debate MAGA on the appeal of MAGA for women. Why would a woman want to be MAGA? On MAGA generally, why would anyone want to be MAGA? What is good about MAGA? So if you would like to call in and talk to us, we're learning more and more as these live streams go. We do have to, it sometimes takes a little bit of time to get started because there aren't a lot of very brave MAGA people out there who are willing to just call in and have a conversation, because I think, here's what I think is happening, people. Think about it. You're MAGA. You want to call in. And what you're hitting is, if I call in and, Jimmy, do you know the vid where you talk to a physicist about why there isn't anything wrong with infinite regression? No, I don't. I think you're talking about a video with me and Dr. Aaron Adair. And he laid it out. I can remember Aaron Adair and I having that conversation, but it wasn't a debate. He was my co-host. Anyway, what was I saying? YouTube, it takes a minute. It takes a minute. And people gather. And then the people who gather initially, the MAGA people who end up here, they often lurk. They often stick around. Sometimes they'll even answer polls. But I think that, I think, here's my theory. And if you're MAGA and you think that I'm lying, all you have to do is call in and prove me wrong, and I'd be happy to be proven wrong. My theory is you guys don't have the ability to answer follow-up questions, that your positions are surface only, that details are not what matters. What you care about is, this is my team, and therefore the headline of my belief is this, the headline of the next belief is this. I think you're all headlines. Like a maybe it would have been a finally good episode of Jay Leno if they had just done headlines the whole show. That was a bit on Jay. That joke was for people much older than anybody who was watching. Anyway, it's just headlines. And that if I asked you about the content of those stories, of those beliefs, I think that MAGA is incapable of presenting them without becoming very obviously surface level hypocritical. Very like, oh, actually, no, I don't have the support and I don't have the consistency. I think that's why it can be hard to get calls in, because I don't think it's not that they don't want their voice heard, that they don't love that we gather, hundreds of people to thousands of people every time we do one of these shows, that they wouldn't love an opportunity to speak to people and be like, yeah, you guys are wrong. I think they idolize people like Charlie Kirk because they want to cosplay Charlie Kirk. But when the time is here, and after screaming all over social media that we live in an echo chamber, if we come here and say, MAGA, here is your opportunity, tell us why we're wrong, that phone line, it'd be real quiet. Mm-hmm. It's right there, 33654-32101.
To be fair, we've asked them, what are ways that MAGA is good for women, and what are they supposed to come up with? Clearly nothing, because so far we still haven't gotten an answer for that. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Are we taking? I had some people asking if we're taking Christian calls too, like arguments for theism and all of that. Great.
We will take a call from anyone we disagree with on any major issue, with the only exception being if you call today instead of tomorrow when we have a trans person on to debate the validity of trans people. I question your motivation. We'd probably start the conversation. I just question why you would do it on a day where you're like, oh, two cis people, I can talk about them without them, is what it seems like you're saying. And so it'll be interesting to see that, but we'll take calls on pretty much anything we disagree on. I saw last night someone trying to call in about the title was like, God is not good, and just really tried to philosophy bro with Taylor and Luxander. And like, well, but objective goods, and so that's probably another one of those conversations I would roll my eyes at, because it's so simply solved. Prove any objective good exists. All good is subjective, but you can defend what good is the better good. So you can't, yes, it's all subjective. It doesn't make it equal. It doesn't make them equal. You can still defend why one good is better to work toward than another good. Anyway, I think that was when I stopped listening to the show, because I was like, oh my God, this guy, the only way, wishes he could get his farts to become sentient so they could sniff themselves. That's who this man is. I fucking the philosophy bro guys who call in, and you can hear them like with those ugly smiles on their faces, or like, so are you saying there's an objective good? It's unsettling. Anyway, if you think MAGA is good for women, and look, I know some of you are in the chat because you've already replied in the poll there. We'd just like to hear an explanation. We have some questions for you. If you answer those questions, you'll get to totally make your whole ass point. Your whole ass point. Some dude named MAGA is freaking out right now, and he's super stoned. He's like, what? I've missed the last 10 years. Are people using this name for something else? Sorry, MAGA. MAGA, the phone number there, 33654-321-01, 33654-321-01. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to people. I did find, I'm going to send you her account. There's a person who, she does it more on TikTok, but she was simul streaming to YouTube yesterday, and she does this, I guess you'd maybe call it, it's kind of like a bit the way it presents, but she's not, her persona isn't a bit. Where it's the MAGA support line, call in and we'll help you see through that you've been lied to and shit. And she's like, and so she'll start with like, so right, what can we help you with? How can we help you get through all of this kind of thing? And she seems great. I mean, we have to do I haven't done my direct vetting yet of just straight up asking like, hey, you're like, if we have you on, trans people aren't going to catch strays when they come and hit, because that's the number one thing we have to check on when it comes to like collaborating with atheists, collaborating with other people in the atheist space, and then collaborating with people in political space. And I don't know her religious beliefs. I only know her political so far. I think I can probably guess, but when going and talking to her, and I'm gonna have to do it's the number one thing you have to check is like, cool, we super line up on this, but I haven't seen you talk about
do the transphobe check.
Right? Are they going to be catching straight? Yeah. If the answer to that is no, there's almost nothing else I ever have to check. Like worst case scenario, the person ends up just being more liberal than leftist, and I'll still work with liberals. I already do. Life is working with liberals.
What if it was somebody who like fully aligned on all of that, but they're really into astrology? Just like so into it. The first thing they do when you like have your Zoom meeting with them is they're like, by the way, what's your sign? You're done.
I think I would say like, if I had enough view of their political thing, I think I would just be very straight up and go, here's the deal. Politically, I am still interested in you sharing your voice. If it looks like the way in which you support it clearly diverges from your religious beliefs. Just the way you engage your critical thinking when it comes to politics is different than when it comes to your spiritual beliefs. So I would still probably have them on the political one. But I tell them, if it comes up, I do not reduce my reaction because I have a sympathetic person next to me. So like, be aware, I not only think astrology is wrong, I think it's harmful and bigoted. So you're going to hear about that if it comes up. And if that's too much and you feel like that would harm our ability to work together or be friends after the fact, don't do it, because I don't have positive things to say about astrology. If anything, now I more want to book you for a debate on astrology. But yeah, there are people like that who it's like they have their personal beliefs, but otherwise can show that they are perfect critical thinkers. You know, my number one example of that is Dan McClellan. Dan McClellan is doing excellent work for skeptics. He's doing excellent work for Bible people. And yet on Sundays, he goes and gives 10% to his fucking queer hate group church. He gives 10% of his income, I have verified, to the Mormon church, who are a queer hate group, because his faith is different than his academia. And it's like, how are you turning off your critical thinking and going, you know who deserves the exception? Because outside of the church, he doesn't support queer hate. He isn't himself a queer hater. He's quite vocally queer positive. But all of the goodwill is eaten up for me with this guy, because he gets 10% of the money he makes from atheists, a largely atheist group, and certainly a largely humanist group. They're paying him money for books. They're paying him money in super chats, and he's taking that lump sum. He's cutting off a tenth of it. He's giving him a slice of pizza almost worth to the Mormon church. And I'm just like, bro, I'm just going to call it McClellaning when you are like super capable of critical thinking, but you ignore it to be able to do that. Anyway, do you have the call queue up?
I just saw that. That's why I was distracted.
Here's what I'm going to say as we take this. MAGA, we're about to take a call from a person who alleges to be on your side. I think you're going to go, we prefer better representation, but we'll find out. You know that part of, have you seen the Star Wars movies? Promise?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
No, not yet. Give me a moment. I'll introduce you in just a moment. But Promise, yeah. So Promise, there's a moment in the Star Wars, in the first one, where Obi-Wan can detect that basically a bunch of lives are extinguished all at once, and it's such like a big moment. He can feel it. And I think I'm going to feel as hundreds of people groan when they hear the following line. Tomris is calling from Guam to defend that MAGA is the worst idea of all, or feminism. He is MAGA. Feminism is the worst idea of all time. And that's going to be exciting. Tomris, you are on the line with Promise and Jimmy. Tomris, is this your first time with Promise?
With is that the name? Yeah, it's my first time with Promise. Yeah. The screener got my spiel wrong. It was that feminism's one of the worst ideas of all time, not the worst idea.
Oh, okay, gotcha. What is feminism?
That was my first question. Is how do you define feminism?
Yeah, something to the effect of that, treating people differently based on sex or gender is like a bad thing, and that we need to fight against it. Essentially, is how I understand feminism.
I feel that would be an abstraction, but that wouldn't be a definition of feminism. Not to say that we disagree with the concept of not treating people differently based on sex and gender, but no, I wouldn't describe that as a very good comprehensive theory.
All right, how do you define feminism then?
Feminism is just advocating for equality for all sexes.
Specifically social, economic, and political equality for all genders.
How is that?
And then it is as a movement, it is a responsive movement. So it's responsive to the systems and the sort of systemic oppression, the systems and the traditions that in the past denied them those equal rights, and how those things have moved in. So like the day you give women the vote doesn't mean now they actually have political access. So you have to make sure they still have access to vote, not just legally can vote. And so that's like an obvious one, but how that then is abstracted throughout history or extracted throughout history, and what it looks like in what is the modern version of those things, identifying if they exist and correcting for those inequalities.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I still don't really understand how what you said is that different from what I said. That it's the core of it is that discriminating based on gender, or like, giving people different amounts of social power or whatever, based on gender is a bad thing, right? Like that's the root of feminism, right? Correct?
Feminism is a specific thing, and yours is sort of a component of. That's why it was different.
Okay. I mean, I guess just to try to respond to what you said, I think people work better as collectives than as individuals, and especially when it comes to things like gender relations. It takes two to tango, you know what I mean? So I think if there's something
what does the word two to tango mean when you're saying as a collective? Why would collectives be restricted to twos?
Well, no.
What are we tangoing? I don't know what this means.
Yeah, I think you're trying to put cliches into your argument, and so far the two to tango is where you lost me, and now it became confusing. Who are the two? What's the two?
The two that I'm referring to is men and women as things. So what I'm saying is that women have certain things that they're better at than men. Men have certain things that they're better at than women. And rather
certain
than
women are better, this again, you're resorting to cliches. Some women are better than some men at certain things.
Right.
There is no individual thing you can say all women are better at, nor is there any individual things you can say all men are better at.
Well, yeah, I'm speaking as an aggregate. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions. I'm saying on average, right?
Mm-hmm. Though it seems to me that the anti-feminist movement, which it seems you are a part of, if you think it's one of the worst ideas of all times, wishes to reduce it to this is what women do, this is what men do. In fact, I'd say the number one anti-feminist thing I see is this insistence that the phrase, what is a woman, must be answered with only 3 or 4 words, for example, when it's never been that simple. And the concept of these things as spectrums has existed before we understood trans people existed. I've spent my whole life not just trying to be a man, but a certain level of a man, which identifies the spectrum. Go ahead, Promise.
I said Britney Spears wrote a song about it.
And so did Taylor Swift.
Did she?
Kind of. Well, I don't know. If I was a man,
anyways,
maybe.
So I'd like
Thomas.
to ask, what is your argument against? Like, what do you think is harmful about feminism? Why do you think this is a problem?
Yeah, I think any sort of any ideology or any, I guess, kind of axiom that puts individual people above any sort of community or collective that they're a part of, I think that is
that's like not what feminism is. It's feminism is advocating for gender equality.
It's quite literally the response to putting men above women.
Right. So it's saying
it's about
that
elevating women,
there should just be equality. So if a woman wants to stay at home and be a mom, then that's amazing. She should be able to do that. If she wants to go out and be a rocket scientist, she should be able to go do that. If she wants to do both, she should be able to do that. I'm trying to figure out what your problem with that is. Or are you just redefining feminism to mean something that we're not saying it is?
Yeah, no, my problem with that is that anytime you're looking at some social prescription, it's not, people, in the way that I look at it is the question you should be answering isn't, what do individual people want to do and how can we protect that? It's what should individual people be doing towards a greater good. And I think as far as I'm concerned, I think women, getting married and raising children, that is more beneficial to society than most of the things I've seen.
I want to make sure this would be really intense if this is what you're saying. So I want to make sure I'm clear. Yeah. So this is a question. Are you saying you think that women should not be able to do other things and that they should be forced to stay home and have children?
Force is an extreme word, but yeah, I think we should discourage women from being in the workforce in most situations.
And what does that mean? Discourage them in what way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some professions like teaching and like nursing and shit like that I think there is a place for women for. I think this like push that like we need more.
Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. I think this push that we need more, like women in STEM and that we need more women in like traditionally male-dominated fields. I think it's just it's really silly, and I think just kind of from a social perspective, it's just not very.
I have a question.
It just doesn't make sense.
Thomas, I have a question for you. In your scenario, a world where this is happening, you've got a group of men who are generally held to the laborer positions, the places you're saying STEM, all of that. And then you have women who are sort of, you give them some exceptions for potentially teaching nursing and shit like that, presumably only if we run out of men to do those. But otherwise you want them as homemakers, caretakers, nurturers, all that kind of thing. So in this world where you're born into this world and you're aware of the other side, which side will disproportionately have more people not getting to do the things they want to be doing? In that world, will that be more women are doing things against what they want, or more men are doing things against what they want?
That's completely irrelevant. I mean,
I don't care, Thomas. You don't get to decide what's relevant. You don't know what my follow-up is. So you don't even know if it's irrelevant. So answer the question, Thomas. I decide where the show goes. You don't. So it is relevant because I'm asking. So now in that world, who will be doing more according to their desires, have the option to follow their dreams more? Will men be able to follow their dreams more in that scenario, or women?
Probably women a little bit more, just because in my
So
scenario, women aren't required to work.
Real, Thomas. Be so fucking real, Thomas. This is why everyone knows you guys cannot do this without lying. You cannot. You are such an obvious intellectual fraud, because what you are advocating for is a world in which men are already getting to pursue. They already get a shot at the things they want to do. And right now, women, more than in your scenario, would have a shot at the things they want to do. They don't have equal access yet, but they have more, and they are going into STEM. They are going into, and by the way, contributing very well to these situations. So in your world, basically, Thomas, you are once again, it's just like with abortion. You're basically going, I would like to change things where my life actually won't change, because I will still get to pursue my destiny, my dream and everything. But I would like to cut the group I'm not a part of off of access from pursuing it themselves. You are very much the room full of white Republican men going, well, let's talk about what girls should do with their bodies. That's you right now. It is so clear. Women in that scenario will get to pursue what they want more than men. Be so fucking real.
I have two thoughts for you. Number one, just real quick to touch on your claim about women, you think they can do some things like work in the medical field or whatever it was you said.
Just
There's
nursing,
a study that I just heard, nursing, right? Well, I just heard this study. It came out a few years ago, and I'm happy to tell you where you can go read about it. But I have it pulled up right here. And it found that female patients had a 32% higher risk of death when their surgeon was a man than if it was a woman. That's why we're advocating to have women in the medical field as well, because it turns out they treat patients differently. So there's actual technical reasons. Like we see people live. We see 32% less likely to die when we're having more women surgeons performing surgeries on women. That's just a side note. That's not even an argument. That's just to just go ahead and point out that point of yours makes no sense. I live in Finland, which is a country, first of all, that is continuously ranked happiest country in the world over and over and over again. And one of my favorite things here is the culture is so warm and friendly toward children, and kids are everywhere all the time. I was on the train all day. They're on the train by themselves. They're out and about. They're riding their bikes outside my window all the time. The society here really cares about children. And one of the reasons that's been so successful is because men and women are equal parents here. There are just as many men walking around by themselves pushing strollers with babies as there are women. They see these roles as a shared partnership in raising kids. It's much more equal. Can you tell me how that is harmful? And that's my husband's Finnish, and he calls himself a feminist. And he fully believes in all of this. His brother, the same. And I'm watching his brother be a dad. He's an incredible father. And they both have jobs. They both have careers. And they're both raising this amazing kid together and doing an amazing job. What is your argument against a society that's functioning in that way?
Among other things, Finland does not have an above replacement fertility rate. So all the stuff you're talking about of families doing well and stuff, they're not doing that well if they can't replace themselves.
We're not talking about fertility rates. We're talking about how the kids are treated when they're here.
No, but what Thomas is saying is that actually doesn't matter. The happiness doesn't matter. He is bought into.
So he doesn't give a shit about people. It's I gotcha.
Right. He also doesn't care that, look at the way technology is going. Any shortage we will have with workers will obviously be filled in by literally fucking robots. But he is falling for the Elon Musk, if we don't start replacing at a higher level, then we are losing. Population will collapse, which will be disastrous for the world, and thinks that this is the coming apocalypse. So again, his prescription to solve it is, let me keep doing what I want to do, and let's consign women to a baby factory position in society.
So you don't care if children.
In my mouth. That's not even funny.
Thomas, I'll ask you a question. I will ask you a question. Do you care about the health and happiness of the children in those families?
Of course I do.
Great. So what is your argument against these feminist families here where partners are equally sharing these roles that you are deeming to be something only women should be doing?
Before I answer that, in Finland, both.
No,
like,
I asked you a question.
Father
No,
and the mother.
I asked.
No, because it's.
I asked you a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, a system where one parent doesn't work and the other parent works, like what I'm suggesting, is better than the Finland thing that you're suggesting.
No, excuse me, that isn't what you were suggesting. What you were suggesting was where the father works and the mother doesn't work. You're trying to make it sound more. You're trying to sound it more okay by pretending. You're basically positioning it in a neutral way. It's kind of like people who will say, I do this. I say partner instead of girlfriend a lot because it doesn't matter to me that you know that that they are a girl, that she is a girlfriend. But to you, it's more like you want to sound like it's more of a progressive thing. One parent in the home, one parent off. That's not what you think. You think mother's in the home, father's off.
So the reason that I tried to ask Promise about Finland is that theoretically, right, it would be better if fathers stayed home and mothers worked. That is a better system than both parents working, and that's my whole point. Is that
even if you
as far as I'm aware,
do you have any data to support? Do you have any data to support that? I would be happy to see it. I don't know that is true. That doesn't make sense with anything that I know about childcare, because the problem is kids end. First of all, here you do get paid for both of you to stay home with the child the first year. And you can also separate that time so that one parent is staying home for 8 months, another is home the other 8 months, so that the kid is having somebody there all the time. Then it's actually really good for the kid to be socialized and get to go to these different programs. You can have part-time jobs, you can have full-time jobs where you have childcare in the building. These are all things people here are working to have lives where they can spend more time with their kids than anything else. That is very common here. So that's still, I would need data to show me that kids do better when one parent is at home at all times.
No, not one parent. Only mothers, because that would need to be your data too, is that it has to specifically be mothers, that it's not. I'm 100% fine with equipping people and economically, not just to choose if they want both parents to work, to choose if they want to work or they want to spend time raising their families. Go ahead, Thomas. What's that data you got?
You're asking for data that one parent staying home is better than both parents working?
No. I believe that one parent staying home. I already believe that's true. One parent staying home, and that specifically it has to be the mother, not the father.
Well, yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, right? Women tend to be better with kids than men do.
No. We said data, not anecdotally. We said
and
data,
that's also
not anecdotally.
That's not true here in Finland. That's anecdotally not true, because we don't have this stigma surrounding the idea that only women are good. When you're told growing up that only women are good with kids, and when only the little girls get baby dolls and are praised for being nurturing and boys are not, then of course that's what we're creating. We are teaching kids to grow up and be like that. Turns out in societies where they don't do that and it's just normalized that being a parent is a great normal thing, then we don't see that playing out where it's like only women are much better with kids. The people here that I know they're equally great with kids when they're parenting. So anecdotally,
you're pulling stuff out and you're saying anecdotally, what would you guess is the percentage of women in a couple? You have a couple and they have kids. What percentage of those couples do you think the father is better with the kids than the mother? Or the mother is better than the father?
If I had to guess, I'd say, just shooting in the dark, I would say like 1 out of like 15 fathers are going to be better than the mothers raising kids.
It's definitely higher than that. I mean, it's definitely significantly higher. But you're going to go with, what does that come out to? Like 7%-ish? Is that what 1 out of 15 is?
Like I just told you I wasn't doing this based on statistics. I'm just doing this based on
I'm also
things you can observe like pretty easily, right?
I'm going to go with your number, even though I think it's wildly low. But yeah, that's basically. Hang on, I'm not done. That's 6 2/3%. So what about those families? Because you're saying, therefore, women at home, men out. So even in your example, in that 6 2/3%, when you identify that actually, we'll just round it to 7%, the father would be better, they still, in those scenarios where the father desires to be the caretaker and the mother desires to go out and work and support the family, should still not have the option. There shouldn't be an outlier option for those.
Like I said, when you're talking about social issues, you're talking in an aggregate. So yeah, if the statistic I said is right, and 93% that it's better for the mother to stay home, then yes, it's good to implement that as a policy.
Republicans talk as an aggregate.
It's going to work
when
out,
you
right?
say you're talking this way, you are. No. It's quite that you are. See, I don't think society. I think with 8 billion people in the world, we don't have to come up with solutions that we go apply this to 100% of the people, even though and let a minority of the people just suffer and take it. I think that even if we were going to implement this, you could implement it in a way where people could identify who, and I wouldn't implement your system, but the fact that you wouldn't have let's make the system available, the better caretaker stays home, the better, that you would just identify, presumably on something arbitrary like chromosomes, something arbitrary like genitals, which one is consigned to home and which one is consigned to go and work and do the jobs and support the family and stuff. And at the end of the day, even your tend to be argument, it's like that you wouldn't seek a nuanced position that covers for all of that. But instead, I guess you would like us to be more like the countries that have above the replacement threshold. Do you know what the replacement fertility rate threshold is?
It's like 2.8, 2.7, something like that.
2.1. I don't know where you got.
I'm wrong. Sorry, I was configured. There's another country I was looking at that's at 2.9. Yeah, the replacement threshold is like 2. It's like 2.2 or 2.3 or something like that. And
so it's not altogether surprising that you want to what is essentially take freedom away from people and take sort of in general this idea of let's not encourage you to be a part of a collective as you wish to be. Let's make you be, let's take away freedoms, let's take away economic security, let's take away all these things unless you conform. And you also think that then we're going to maintain our economic superiority and everything else as people's happiness goes down as they are. And meanwhile, the only countries you can point to, what's a country right now with a high enough fertility rate that you would say we should be more like?
Israel. That's the one I was referring to when I said 2.8, because their fertility rate.
You think we should be around? Israel's around 3.0. Israel is literally an ethno state.
Even better.
Should we be an ethno state?
Even better. 3.0 is even better.
Yes, it's around 3. And so, by the way, people, the reason why he picked Israel is because that is the only one that you could potentially pick. He can't name a second. Go ahead, name a second.
Country that has a high fertility rate?
A high that breaks 2.1 that you would like us to be more like. You would like us to be more like the countries in Africa, more like sub-Saharan Africa. You like us to be more like what? Saudi Arabia, Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah, you're not letting me talk. You asked me what countries have an above replacement fertility rate.
No. So that we should be more like.
One that I want to emulate the most is Israel.
That you would like us to model our government and society after. And so far, you've gone with only the predominantly white ethno state is the only one that you have picked. Granted, it's not an ethno state for white, it's an ethno state for white Jews, but it's an ethno
I just
state.
read Israel has the highest rate of employed mothers in the world. So
they literally serve in the IDF.
So they all serve in the IDF, and
100% aware.
So you didn't actually name someone you want us to model our society after, which was the question.
Dude,
you just
want I never said I want to model our society based on Israel. Countries can do good things and have other things I don't want to emulate, right?
I asked you, name the civilization with the above replacement fertility rate that you would like America to be more like. And you picked Israel, which is an ethno state with high female employment.
Yeah, we can do the things that Israel are doing without copying everything else. You understand
that,
right?
You can't. The reason that Israel you actually can't prove that that's true. You actually can't prove. You're just asserting that Israel, we could be like Israel without being like Israel. Because then why would you have named Israel as the country to be more like? Why not name Congo? Congo's got what, 5.5 births per woman. Why not name the others? You went with a white ethno state.
Here's my problem. We started this off with you talking about.
White. I don't know who the hell told you that. That is not true. Go ahead.
Israel is majority Jewish ethnicity, and it specifically serves. It has a disproportionate. It serves much more well those with the European descent, the Ashkenazi Jews. It serves, which is what I got a drop of in me as well. It serves the white facing. What is the word? The white passing Jews much better than it serves the Arab people. In fact, there's lots and lots of stories of victims out of Israel who are of Arab descent, who are Arab Jews, and they are treated disproportionately worse. So when you say it doesn't matter if it's majority white, which I'm not even positive you're correct there. Let's find out what the ethnic what's the racial breakdown of
Jews
Israel.
Aren't white. Israel is not majority white. Like, that's just not true. Like,
okay. Racially, they are absolutely white. Ethnically, they are not. And not Jews and broadly. Jews there are Arab Jews. But when you talk about Ashkenazi Jews, again, the type of Jew that I technically am, we are white. It is what it is.
Like Benjamin Netanyahu is not white. Like, that, calling Ashkenazi Jews that have lived in Israel their whole life white is just like, that's just not true. Let me just back up for a second.
What are they? What race are they?
Hold on.
No. What race are Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, Russian? What race of Jews are these different people?
The Jews.
Jews is an ethnicity, not a race.
I don't really understand the point of making a distinction.
Interesting, but you were the one who said they weren't. So,
yeah, Jews and white are two different things. Like, I don't really.
Ethnically, they are. There are white Jews. There are black Jews. What's the Oscar Mayer Wiener song? Fat Jews, fat skinny Jews, Jews who play on rocks.
Yeah.
It is an ethno state for Jews that disproportionately services the white passing Jews better than the others.
So let me just back up for a second. The reason that I speak positively of Israel in this specific case is because a lot of why their society works so well is that they have a very strong national identity and they do things based on that national identity. And if I had to guess, that probably has a
Are we talking about feminism? Or are we going the nationalist argument? Do you want to be done with the feminism thing? Because you still never got us to a point.
They go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, nationalism is
fascinating
a
because I already can't agree.
And nationalism can't
I already can't agree with your whole idea that this is going to be interesting where we're going. But yeah, I guess we'll just drop the feminism thing because you still never got us to why it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing for you if you have a nationalist agenda. I would agree with that.
It is funny, though. He just said feminism and nationalism can't work together. I tend to agree that that's true. However, his problem with Israel, what he would do differently is take the feminism out of their nationalism. Because right now they are a nationalist state, Israel, and their nationalism includes conscripting Jewish women to serve in the IDF. Though not equally to men, they serve in different capacities, but still serve in the IDF, and that's the thing he would take away. So even Israeli nationalism is a little too feminist for Tomris.
No, because remember when I was talking about women doing jobs, I specifically said shit like nursing and stuff like that, women can still do. But if you look at the IDF, that's like what women do in the IDF.
Shit like
they're
nursing.
like medics and shit like that.
Yeah, shit like
that's
that.
That's not even true.
Shit like that.
That's not even true.
Wait, are you telling me that there's women in combat roles in the IDF? Because that's not true.
In supportive roles, but no, they aren't shooting the rifles. They're just driving the cars
when they do the
combat
roles, but they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot more than just shit like nursing.
We're mostly making fun of that when you're talking about the guys in the combat roles doing the real stuff. I'm waiting to hear a male role described as shit like that because you did it earlier too when you were talking about male roles in society in America. But when it came to females, it was nursing. What was it? Nursing, teaching, and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, women should do teaching and nursing and shit like that, and men should do heavy labor and combat and shit like that. Correct.
Yeah. Now you've got this like that.
Yeah.
No, now
I don't see how
you don't see how it now because you don't recognize that earlier you were doing it subconsciously, that you think what men's roles in society are, or especially job wise.
How do you convince women in the US to go with this plan? How do you convince all the women that are currently either being educated to have a career that they have chosen, that they've maybe wanted for years and years and years? How do you convince the ones that are already actively in those careers? How do you convince the ones that do not want to have children at all? How are you convincing? Or is this going to come down to force? What is your answer here? How do you convince me to want to move back to the US, quit my job, and just stay at home and have kids?
Yeah, it's a little bit of convincing, a little bit of force. It depends on the person. It would end up just being both. It's the same thing with the military for men. Like if we
tell me what kind of force. Tell me what kind of force. So I'm telling you, if I was back in the States and somebody said you're going to stay home and have kids, I'm saying fuck no, I'm not. So now what?
Yeah, I think if someone is going around having sex outside of marriage, I think that should probably be illegal. I think
I'm married. I'm married. So please answer my actual question. What are you going to do when I say I'm not having kids?
What would you be doing?
Right now, I have a book coming out.
What would I be forcing you to do? You're not doing anything I disapprove of. What do you?
You don't even know me. You don't even know that I'm married. You have no idea. I'm working and I'm making money and I have a career.
You're not doing anything. I'm saying
she's not having kids. She's not nursing or teaching or that shit.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not nursing. I'm not in childcare, and I'm not having kids.
She's making money as a public figure, political activist. You support women doing that after we implement your society. She still have access to all that.
Let me promise. Do you have children right now? Yes or no?
No. Wait. Answer my question first. She's already answered that question, by the way, on this episode. You answer my question first. In the society you design, would she still have access to being paid a professional public figure activist? Would she still have access to being able to do that in your designed society?
It wouldn't be encouraged, but it'd be permitted in certain situations, sure.
I don't believe you. A minute ago, you said it should be illegal to have sex outside of marriage because, as everybody knows, the conservatives and MAGA movement, who pretend they're about personal freedom, want to control you.
I never said I'm a libertarian. I never said that personal freedom.
I never said you were a libertarian. You said you're MAGA, which is supposed to be a conservative movement. Clearly, you are actually a fascist, and maybe you embrace their fascism because you very much want an ethno-state, you very much want an authoritarian state, and you very much want the government to control our personal lives, but only in as much as it is the people you ideologically agree with making those decisions. Of course, you would see the injustice if I controlled your life, for example.
No, if you got into power and you wanted to turn me into a super egalitarian, like male feminist, like dad boss, like, yeah, you can try to do that. I would expect you to try to do that if you were in power.
No, I'd make you a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, same. That's kind of just what I just said, right? Like, if you wanted to make some like backwards like ideology that doesn't make any fucking sense, if you got into power and you wanted to make that law, like that isn't contradicting what I'm saying.
You'd support that. So basically, you're saying
you'd have a right to do it. Sure.
You're saying basically it's not necessary. You have the authoritarian world that you want to live in, but as long as you live in an authoritarian world, you'd be accepting of it.
Do either of you agree with the? I think it was JFK who said it. That ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Thomas, I'd love an answer to my question. Is it most important to you what that we live in an authoritarian society, not necessarily what the authoritarian society is?
What's your question? I
guess I'll repeat it a third time. Is it most important to you that we just live in an authoritarian society, not necessarily what the details of that authoritarianism is?
No, I mean, if you're in a position of leadership, you should be as strong as possible. That being said, obviously, I'd prefer a strong leadership that has like axioms that actually make
authoritarian
sense.
Leadership. Stop changing the word. You're trying to change the word to make it more palatable. Be clear and be honest. You want to live in an authoritarian, ultra right-wing society, correct?
So authoritarianism is that's not something that people who actually advocate for what you would call authoritarianism, they don't call it authoritarianism. That's like a
great,
bad
but
word.
it is what it is, correct?
There's other words.
You're literally acknowledging that they use a different term. Authoritarianism, people who advocated it don't call it authoritarianism. Great. You know what authoritarianism is. Is that what you're advocating for?
I think that's what everyone should advocate for. If you're in power, you need to be as strong as possible.
Is that what you are advocating for? Stop trying to use the soft language that makes it sound like, yeah, everybody is. Just say, look, Thomas, honestly, be so real. Be so honest. You're a fascist.
Being honest, bro.
You know you're a fascist and you want to implement fascism, right?
That's the word you want to use for it, sure.
No. Is the word inaccurate, Thomas? Are you a fascist?
I'm not part of a fascist movement, so no.
Thomas, are you a fascist? I didn't ask if you were part of a fascist. I'm not a part of a specific feminist movement, but I'm a feminist. See how easy that was? Are you a fascist?
Define fascism.
Jesus fucking Christ. Are you a fascist?
No. Until you define fascism, my answer is no.
This is the funny thing is that this is the first time you've actually said no. And anybody who doesn't just say no right off the bat to being a fascist is definitely a fucking fascist. Because you know what the word means. You know I know what the word means.
I have a question. Here's my question. This is maybe easier one for you. Are you anti-fascism?
No.
Yeah, no shit.
Got it.
No shit. Do you really not know what the definition of fascism is? Is that what you actually need laid out?
Well, no, it's the same thing with authoritarianism, that when people who aren't fascists or aren't authoritarians say those words, they're weaponized words. Like, they're just meant to, like, shut down what you're saying and label the idea as, like, axiomatically wrong. So what I'm saying is that if I'm
advocating that I should...
No, I don't let fascists finish sentences. Fuck you.
You're advocating... I muted him, but you're advocating for me to have less rights than you, just proudly. And then you're telling us to hold on the phone. This is wild. I forgot how crazy these people are.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
so Thomas,
you can unmute him if you want.
You tell me which one of these words does not describe the society that you are advocating for. Let's start with ultra-nationalist. Does that word describe the society you're advocating for?
Sure.
Authoritarian.
No, not by itself, no.
What do you mean not by itself? You already said it was not only that you support it, but that everyone should support it.
Authoritarian, it depends on what you're using authoritarianism towards. It's not by
itself.
Okay,
so got it. So let's go ahead and explain to the audience what has happened here. He demanded, I'm going to say no until you defined it, but wouldn't say no the several times he was asked before. I am now using terms that are a part of the definition of fascist. And he is essentially going, well, now that you're defining fascism, I'm going to need you to define each individual word of fascism, even though I already agreed to the word moments ago. But as a fascist, I can't keep track of things that just happened. That'd be crazy. So fascism being a far-right, authoritarian, ultra-nationalist, dictatorial style of government, heavy control of media, heavy control of people's personal lives, and basically the government decides who the winners and the losers are. In this case, he's already described that the winners, to some degree of like personal ability for career pursuit, would certainly be men, and the losers would be women. This will be the role you do, whether you want to or not. And it is just an extremely heavily controlled society that, for all the people who yell about how fascism or socialism has never worked, they really love fascism, despite the fact it just usually ends up with them dead. Prematurely, mind you.
That's not
Not
true.
of old age. Yeah, fascism ends up killing the fascists.
It's not true.
Yeah. Oh, what's the very successful fascist society that didn't end in literally like just utter massacres? Absolute tons of
Franco's Spain, Pinochet's Chile, Perón's Argentina. You could argue that what Israel's doing right now is like kind of resembles fascism too, and Israel's doing pretty fucking well. So.
Oh, wait. So Israel,
and they're committing a genocide.
Right. You're supposed to be giving the successful forms of fascism that happened, none of which you just described were successful. And then you were like, but let's go with Israel, who, first of all, let's talk about the history of Israel. How well has that ultranationalism gone? Now empowered by the rest of the world, how is Israeli fascism, which results in the death of a lot of people, including fascists, and eventually will lead to just the death of the fascists. But you're kind of like in 1939 Germany going like, no, the Nazis are doing great. They're not all going to, this isn't going to backfire at all, but are also literally consider committing genocide. That's wild. That's wild. Thomas, your values are just, honestly, they are exactly what I expect out of a fascist. You're really a piece of shit.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Do you appreciate it?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with pretty much everything that comes out of your mouth. So if you like have this much of a dislike towards me, that probably means I'm doing something right. So I appreciate it.
Oh, it means you're doing something right. Yeah. I have the same distaste for you as I do the Nazis. They doing something right?
If a communist on the internet thinks that I'm a bad person, then yeah, you're probably doing something right. So
first of all, I'm a socialist, and you're a Nazi. So should Nazis feel like Nazi? No, communism is an end stage of socialism. They are not the
really
same thing.
Embarrassing.
This is once again showing your absolute fucking ignorance. Literally, I work with two communists, and oftentimes we'll kind of jokingly start debates about whether or not their communism.
My husband is a socialist. He's a socialist that would call himself an anti-communist, actually. Like that's his political spectrum. So and he'll tell you that there's a very major difference between those.
All right,
maybe go figure out all of these things.
So Thomas, would you agree? You said if I don't like you, if I don't like you, you said you're doing something right. So would you say that means the Nazis are doing something right? I don't like the Nazis.
I would. Here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. If the three options are socialism or communism, capitalism or fascism, I will take fascism any fucking day. And like that is a pretty
between socialism, in my opinion. First of all, you said three options. Then you listed socialism, communism, capitalism, fascism, which is 4.
Yeah, I put socialism and communism in the same category. That's why.
Oh, right, because you're still fucking stupid, even though it was just explained to you. Yeah. So
I've read the entirety of Capital by Marx. I've read the
I understand that you needed to cover it.
I'm not really sure why you're just like
he listed 4 options.
What I'm talking about, but okay.
Socialism, communism, capitalism, or fascism. He'll pick fascism every time. And I would like the chat to be aware. And we're going to make sure that everybody else knows who they're taking on in the future if you try to call in. Because I think you just have this sort of co-host syndrome. You just like to be heard. You don't care what comes out of your mouth. I don't even know if these values are really yours. But at the end of the day, his response to are Nazis doing the right thing, since I dislike him, his response was, if I have to pick between 3 options, then he lists 4, I'll take fascism every time. Do be aware, Tomris has just proclaimed himself a Nazi. Like, you literally are affirming that you are a Nazi.
You're using weaponized words. Like I can't engage with someone who just says that a word is axiomatically bad.
Do you think that anymore I have an interest in pretending that we have equal access to platform, pretending I'm much interested in? I'll talk to MAGA people all day. And MAGA, by the way, I do want to talk to you. 33654-32101. I don't believe most MAGA people will claim you because they can hear you're a fucking Nazi. They can hear you're a fucking fascist. And I think most people who voted for Trump, while they are supporting fascism, they don't want it. They just don't know that that's what they're doing. Their ignorance is being preyed upon. And it was mostly that he was acknowledging their hurt, their pain, though not doing anything about it. He was acknowledging it where the Democrats weren't, and that's why he won. I suspect that only people at the level of Trump and Tucker Carlson and stuff wouldn't want to disenfranchise you because they're the actual evil Nazis also. But I don't give a shit about you feeling like you're being treated fairly when you have essentially affirmed that you are a Nazi and a fascist. Fuck you in your fucking face. Like, the world will be better when you're no longer in it, presumably of old age, or when you ideologically change. You fucking suck, dude. You're a fucking garbage human being.
I just don't really.
Your words are poison.
I don't really understand. I don't understand why you're posturing as though you want to like debate people or have conversations when if they disagree with you, you're just gonna like write them off as like an extremist or something. Like you're not.
I wrote you off as an extremist,
honestly, like at all.
Guys, let's review what Thomas just said. Given the option, which by the way, these are the options right now.
Yeah.
Capitalism, socialism, communism, or fascism. He picks fascism every time. I'm writing him off as an extremist. Think about that. He is saying that these are the options. No, I don't need your help. You can talk again when I give you permission to speak, you little bitch. Given the options that are the options right now. So he's not saying I would if those were the options, because they are the options. He's chosen fascism right now. If I'm given the option of capitalism, fascism, communism, socialism, which he thinks communism and socialism are the same. If I'm given the option of those four, I will pick fascism. Those are the four options he's given. So he has picked fascism. Thomas, you're saying I'm posturing as whatever, and yet I just told you, and we'll tell you again right now, I am not posturing as wanting to hear a fascist take on anything. You are a fucking piece of shit. You are the worst part of society. I have zero interest in making you feel like, wow, I really got hurt over there. We already heard enough of your bullshit, and you have now proven that you haven't been. I haven't consigned you to extremism. I haven't written you off as an extremist. You have shown you are an extremist. By the way, in some worlds, I'm an extremist, but my extremist ideology is I'm going to force healthcare down your throat. I'm going to force you all to have economic security. Unfortunately, I'm going to do it democratically because I can't resort to fascist tactics. So I'm going to win the argument, and then we are going to give it to everybody whether they want it or not. You don't actually then have to go to the doctor. You can stay home and just die if you want, but you're going to have access to it. Thomas, I just don't care to unmute you. Do you have more that you want with this little fucking fascist bitch boy?
He doesn't care to listen to me, so I'm not going to waste my breath.
Yeah.
I feel like it was all covered. Right, exactly. So I'm good.
I'm not going to ban you, Thomas, but I doubt I'm going to take you again. I have no desire to further platform a now self-avowed fascist, but I'll let the rest of the people make their own decisions if they want to have you. I'm not about I generally let other people ban, but I don't. As the person at the tippy top, I rarely ban myself because I want other people to feel more agency here. But realistically, if you moved to Mars, I would be content with that. So fuck off, you Nazi prick. Well, that's fun. That was a lot of fun. Hey, MAGA, surely that's not the representative you want today.
Please call and give me a better reason for why, either, I guess, why you think feminism is wrong. And can the answer please be something other than it doesn't help my fascism? That would be cool if you have something else. Or I'd love to hear, why do you think I should be MAGA? Convince me why I should want to be back in the States voting for Donald Trump as a woman. Why that would be beneficial. Or tell me why God, the Christian God, I especially would love to hear an argument for why that one's good for me. I don't know. But maybe all there are now are self-proclaimed, we'll call him a not anti-fascist or anti-fascism. That was great. Just straight up. If somebody asked me, are you anti-fascist? Are you against fascism? Yep, I am. Well, how do you define? Anytime there's questioning around it, asking like, well, I don't know. When you're asking, do you think there's good things about Nazis? And there's not a resounding like, no, I don't want to be associated with Nazis in any way. What the fuck? I don't know. I think I forgot how bad these takes are. Like it's worse than I remember it.
I have no interest in a call. If people want to call into debate, we're looking to talk to MAGA. We're talking to, this isn't like the line. We don't really do Q&A over here so much. I guess because MAGA is still waiting. MAGA, if you want to call and talk to us, tell us why MAGA is good for women. Do you want Tom Riss to be your representative today? Is that what you want? You want Tom Riss, who literally said, if I have to choose between capitalism, which is supposed to be your thing, MAGA. Capitalism was in there. Socialism, communism, and fascism. He said, I'd pick fascism. Look, I know a lot of you would go, if I have to pick between socialism and fascism, you'd say fascism. And I chalk that up mostly to you not understanding what socialism is. Because when people bring socialism usually directly to you, usually you understand that it's better for you. Just not if they say the word socialism. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. When we start breaking into it, the companies that exist right now, which obviously in a socialist world would dramatically change, but it wouldn't change in such a way that these groups wouldn't exist. They'd just be more like co-ops that you would work at, that people basically can't exploit you. That right now, the income disparity between the richest and the poorest, and how much money a person who makes at the top, who does much less work than the person at the bottom, especially less taxing work, the fact that they can be rich beyond their wildest dreams, that their bonus will be several times more than a year's living wage, but they can pay people who work labor at the bottom a wage that does not cover their ability to live. That places like Walmart can give their employees instructions on how to get food stamps, because even as they are billionaires and making so much money at the top, they're not paying enough people to be able to afford to live, even if they're getting an employee discount at Walmart. That is wildly immoral, and some system in place must exist to balance it, and that should not be allowed. Generally, when you just talk about it like that and you never tell them that we're talking about implementing socialism, generally they get it. They get it on healthcare. They get it on a lot of stuff. But if you add that word socialism in, they get fucked up. All right, let's find out in chat how many of you are MAGA. Scott, I'm not interested in if somebody wants to call in and debate me on socialism, that maybe is okay. But Scott, who's waiting in the chat, I'm not interested in a call of just like clarify. The definition of socialism is the definition of socialism. I think you're more asking where on the socialist scale I exist that I don't consider myself a communist. And it's a moving target, but right now my priorities are getting everybody healthcare, housing, economic security, UBI. The initial transitionary phase would be a system that abolishes things like the stock market, and we would end up in a more co-op based system with the government welfare programs that meet everybody's basic needs at the very minimum, just for existing, because we can afford to do so. Ultimately, I think the future, after so much robotics and innovation and job replacement happens, communism kind of is inevitable. But I don't think that's where we go. I believe in the Marxist Engelian, that's not how people say it, concept of socialism as more of a transitionary phase and communism being a end stage. But I don't think communism's a bad word. Waiting for, let's see, is this going to be, we'll find out in just a moment if that's we've got a call screening. Let's find out how many MAGA people are here now by doing a new poll. Let's see, start a poll. MAGA, are you with us? Are you here? Is MAGA in the room with you right now? as we
I
approach
posted on
Halloween.
my socials where they're always trying to argue with me, but then they don't want to actually have the talk.
There's something about MAGA that's the case where it's like we are very, very. So communism is inevitable with your socialism. Yeah, but it's a good thing. The communism isn't necessarily inevitable with my socialism. Socialism would be the transition phase, and then we figure out what we need to do more. I suspect we don't need to do much more. However, a day is coming where it'll basically be a world in which if humanity gets to make its own decisions, right? And we, eliminate the oligarchies and stuff, and they don't have to keep a peasant class to feel good about being the ruling class, to feel good about being rich. There's a potential society that's extremely egalitarian, where everybody just kind of does the jobs they want to do, not the jobs they have to do. Because again, that's as far as future of technology goes, imagine Wall-E except for whatchamacallit exists. What if Ozempic could exist in Wall-E? But no, it wouldn't actually be people just sitting around doing nothing. It would be kind of like you see them do when they get back to Earth. They're interested in going out and doing the things, because you actually find in societies that equip their people with economic security and the options to do things more that they want to, or at least be in jobs that aren't abusive and capable of providing them community and stuff. Even just at that level, their happiness goes up. So when we say communism is inevitable to the end of it, we're talking about a world that maximizes welfare, but I don't think we would see it soon. And that there would be a transitionary phase. Let's see.
It took me so long to figure out that you said Wall-E as in the Disney movie, because you said Wall-E. And I was like, Wall-E. What is he talking about? But you meant Wall-E.
Wall-E world. That's what I'm talking about. Walmart. Think of the future, the beautiful future is Walmart. All right, here we go. Jesse is a centrist who thinks MAGA is not bad for women. Jesse, you are on the line from Canada, a Canadian calling in to tell us that MAGA is not bad for women. In fact, it's good in some ways. So, Jesse, put most simply, why don't we start out with just a list? We'll let you do the list first, then we'll go into the individuals. Would you give us a little list of the ways in which MAGA is good for women?
I would argue that the transgender and sports things could be beneficial to women.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's number 2?
I would also argue that potentially, and I'm not 100% on this one, but potentially changing or affecting the what's it called, like the education around trans ideology in
we already did trans students. People. Wait. We already did trans people. So number 1 is trans stuff. Okay, we got that. Okay. You don't like trans people. You think that's bad for women. Hang on, Jesse. I get it. You believe there are multiple reasons why trans people are bad for women. We'll get into all of that. We're just going to put trans stuff is point number 1. But to prove that what we said at the beginning of the show is that it won't be dependent on whether or not you agree with the scientific consensus or whether you actually even understand trans issues. We're now talking about women broadly, whether or not you accept trans women or women, notwithstanding. I almost said irregardless. Disgusting. Notwithstanding. So what is number 2? Has nothing to do with trans issues. That is why MAGA would be good for women.
For any women who are pro-life, I suppose.
No. Not which MAGA women will be happy. Good for women, not good for just pro-life women, as in they'll be happy because their ideology got broadly for women. How is
because
MAGA
Jesse,
good
I believe
for women?
Because I believe that if women want to have an abortion, they should have access to an abortion. And if they don't want one, that they shouldn't be forced to have one. So why would you say that that's a beneficial thing to advocate that more women have less choice? So we can't count that one.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So let's just start here. Do you believe, Jesse, that a woman should have access to abortion if they want to.
I do believe that, yeah.
Great. So you can't say that MAGA is good for women because MAGA would take that away from other people. So what's number 2? Again, nothing. By the way, we'll go ahead and make a bad list now, why it's bad for women, because you've acknowledged that they should have that. So abortion rights lost. There's the bad side. So far, you have only listed something that affects an incredible minority of people, not women broadly, just the trans issue. Do you have anything besides the trans issue in which it is good for women?
That is the only one I didn't, where it had to make a list. That was the only one I thought of before calling, to be totally honest. But I'd be curious as to the ways that it's bad.
Well, you've already said one way it's bad. You believe that people should have access to abortion, and they wish for people to not have access to abortion.
Ban on abortion, is there?
Not yet. You think there isn't one coming? You think that they're not going to do? Do you know what Jesse, you're Canadian. Do you know what the midterms are? What we mean when we say midterms? And when are our midterms?
I don't know when.
Next year, 2026. So you have a presidency, and there's always stuff done before the midterms that is popular so that you can try and keep power. And then there's stuff after the midterms where they're less concerned with power, especially in a lame duck presidency where the president can't get reelected anyway. So and by the way, when you say there's no federal ban, they don't have to do a federal ban because there is now in effect, because of MAGA, a full ban in several states. In Texas right now, if I were to get somebody pregnant, it's going to be a nightmare. So even if you want to say there's no federal ban, MAGA and the federal the federal authority, because of the Supreme Court, has now made bans possible. So whichever side of that you want to take, you still end up wrong. MAGA is still the reason that right now, if I get someone pregnant in Texas, I'm going to have to basically fucking like try and hide it from the government if they want an abortion. Rather, that would in theory be the case, because I can't admit that I would potentially commit what would be a crime here, which it is a crime to aid somebody in getting an abortion in Texas. So again, you can't list no federal ban as a way that makes it not bad for women. MAGA is why there is bans at all.
I understand that.
Great. So basically the only thing you have that you think is good is that trans people are oppressed under MAGA. And so now we're going to have to find out if that's where we are. Do you even understand what the trans issue is? And you wanted to talk about trans education. You wanted to talk about trans sports. You wanted to talk about, I'm sure, other trans cliches. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how comprehensive would you say is your understanding of trans issues and the science of the psychology that goes into whether a person is trans and whether or not their identity is legitimate? How well do you think you understand the trans issue?
Maybe like a 5 or 6 out of 10.
You think a 5 or 6 out of 10?
Yeah.
You know, I doubt it. But even if you think it's a 5 or 6 out of 10, you believe that MAGA, which is an extremist movement, like the guy who called last, who's fascist, is an extreme movement to control people. You believe on perhaps what you think is 50% knowledge. MAGA is good for women because trans people, which you think you are 50% familiar with the science behind what makes a person trans, that would be adequate to make that assessment.
I mean, it's enough to have an opinion. I'm guessing, like, I feel like I have a rough understanding, but I haven't studied it, I'm not a scientist or anything like that.
Yeah, so the scientific consensus is that they are legitimate, that their identities are real. And then as far as when it comes to sports, which was the thing that you wanted to bring up, so it's not even about women broadly, it's about women athletes, which is a very small, like in general, athletes to the population, extremely small minority of people, but women athletes. And now your first issue for why it's good for women is what? That trans people will be excluded from sports under MAGA?
Yeah, that is what I would say would be positive.
Great. How many trans people have ever won a gold medal at the Olympics?
I believe, to my knowledge, there was one the last Olympics.
Nope. That person is yet to be proven to be trans. In fact, there may be some stuff about them being intersex. However, we don't even know that because it has been debunked that the group reporting that they reported a Y chromosome was true. By the way, still would not actually establish that they are trans. If they are intersex, if they have a condition by which they presented as female, by all the ways y'all would have required before, appears to have female genitalia and everything, but has a condition by which they have a Y chromosome. However, no, if you're talking about the boxer, hasn't happened.
Okay.
So why would you exclude trans people from sports if they aren't actually outperforming on the basis of being trans?
Well, just because they haven't won medals.
They've been allowed to compete since 2004, but they have these incredible advantages. Oh, actually, by the way, there was a non-binary athlete, if you wanted to count that as a trans person, who did win a gold medal. However, they competed in the sex category of their assigned at birth sex, not there is no non-binary category.
And
so anyway, why would you exclude them?
Well, it's not necessarily about excluding them from sports. It's about have been instances of people getting hurt and losing medals and stuff.
There have been examples of people getting hurt in violent sports. So why don't we worry about, give me one of your examples of a person getting hurt.
Well, there's the recent competition in Taiwan where there was one fighter had to tap out within 2 minutes, saying that they'd never been hit so hard by this allegedly transgender boxer.
And what was that again? What was that again? What kind of competitor were they?
They were a teenager.
No. What word did you say? What kind of competitor? Was it fighter?
Yeah, it was a boxing.
Great. Violence happens at violent event. Stop the presses.
Also, isn't that the one where the girl said like it had nothing to do, like she was just good? Like, wasn't that part of what ended up happening then anyways? I'm pretty sure that she was even saying not to blame that. But also fight? we have football players every day getting horrific brain injuries where we're seeing like long-term terrible impacts on their body from playing this sport. And it's obviously impacting way more people than the amount of people that are ever even in a room with a trans person. And so I'm confused, like, why wouldn't we then start advocating there? Right? Like, if the concern is people getting hurt in sports, then
it's just the likelihood of somebody who's born male competing against females and injuring them in a contact sport is much higher than in males competing against, like, biological males competing against biological males.
Injuries in contact sports are high, period. You're adding this context of bringing it in. And it's funny because you'll bring up examples of fighters where it's like, and the woman said she'd never been hit so hard by the person who's still getting beat by cis woman. So apparently there's this woman there. She's a trans woman. And she just basically, if she was actually a woman, she'd basically be an X-Man because she has super strength compared to the other women. She's hitting harder than anybody else. She's also not the top fighter, and cis women are beating her, but she's basically a mutant. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't necessarily agree with that in the case of this particular fighter, but I don't have the specifics of their record right in front of me.
So again, you're saying you're a 5 or a 6, but you have an example that's just a sort of broad example you think exists. Again, we're talking about a minority of a minority. Whether or not the issue you have gone with, whether or not athletes allow trans people in, even if it was unfair, would affect a much, I'm going to say it to you, buddy. I'm going to go very controversial here. This is going to be on the level of I don't care if you hurt your elbow. If trans people in sports was unfair, it would still not be better to vote for MAGA on the basis of losing abortion rights. Even if you were doing lesser of two evils, which you're not. But if you were, women across the board and trans men and anybody AFAB, anybody with ovaries, losing abortion rights would be a bigger evil to vote against than a tiny group of people having an unfair advantage in a sport. It's sad. It makes you sad when you think about the specific individuals. If it was true, again, it isn't. These are people still losing to cis athletes. Because in general, if you are a professional athlete, you do have some genetic advantage, just period. Because there's a reason why most cis people aren't professional athletes, because most cis people aren't born with it has nothing to do with whether you're a man or woman. Most of us just aren't born with the athletic advantage to compete at a professional level. Even if Democrats wanted to let cis men fight cis women in specific boxing matches, as awful as that would be and as weird as that would be, it would still be a lesser evil than taking abortion rights from women, period. But that isn't the case. Even if we make it the extreme that it isn't, MAGA is still not good for women. And in that scenario would be MAGA is still very much worse for women.
No, I understand. The abortion is complicated. But I just
no, it isn't. Abortion isn't. It's not a complicated issue at all. It's not at all complicated. The trans issue is complicated, and you have the Dunning-Kruger effect. You have shown you can't list examples or know the details, but you actually think you are at 50 to 60% aptitude on the science behind transgender identity, and are therefore confident enough to vote against, to support an anti-woman movement because you don't like the idea that somebody born with a penis might be attractive to you. Because let's be real, that's why men are scared of trans women. You might be attracted, you might end up being attracted to a penis person.
Putting a lot of words in my mouth there, but
it's the words that you would say if you were honest.
That's not how I feel.
This is why men are afraid of trans women. They're afraid of being attracted to someone with a penis. It is very much about how easy it is to emasculate them.
That's okay. If you want to say that. That's not how I feel.
It's not how you'll articulate your feelings. Maybe you need to be more honest with yourself. But honestly, if you actually had the 50 to 60% grasp you think you have on this issue, you'd recognize how small an issue it is. And it's fucking crazy. We are stopping political progress for this tiny group of people who just want to live in a society that doesn't treat them like shit. Because that's ultimately what you're participating in. In the end, you think the terrible oppression is Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines tying for 5 is worse than all the shit they go through.
It's not necessarily what I said, but
I know I'm extrapolating because I know when a person calls in and says they're good for women and only can say trans people and cannot articulate a single other idea, I know what that means. I've been here long enough. I know what these are red flags of. So do you have a good point?
You're making a lot of assumptions. But that's
right.
Okay.
What's your good point? Have you come up with one yet that has nothing to do with trans, which we've already shown you don't have a good grasp of, even though you think you have 50 to 60% aptitude on it? Do you have an example besides trans now?
Nearly 900 medals have been lost to transgender competitors since 2024.
Excuse me, you just pulled a number out of your ass that has nothing to do with the Olympics. Well, and you're talking about...
You brought up the Olympics.
Yeah, and so you're just saying medals in general. Great, where's that data from?
United Nations.
I've already heard Arden debunk all of this. She explained, I wish I could remember the whole thing, but she explained the way they calculated that was like the most ridiculous, like it's not actually representative of what happened. I can't remember what actually happened, but.
And by the way, you can't actually prove that any medal, this is basically it. It's the confirmation bias. Anytime a trans person wins, proves they have an advantage. So when a cis person wins over a trans person, does that prove they have some advantage they should be removed from the sport for?
Well, no, that's...
So why does it only matter when they win? This is the point. You're basically going, anytime a trans person wins, it's because they were trans. Even if they aren't setting records, even if they aren't outperforming, and even if the next time they get beat by a cis person, what their win is taking away from the loss. And by the way, Jesse, the centrist, like you call yourself, used to do this with black athletes. If we let black athletes compete at the national level, if we let black athletes compete with our white kids, they're going to be taking medals and scholarships away from our kids because of their genetic advantage. And yet when you let them compete together, you find out that there are white kids who can outperform the black kids, and there are black kids who can outperform the white kids, and that it actually turns out not to have, especially when it comes to trans people, which we're not saying cis men wouldn't have an advantage. Being transgender is different and accounted for. They go through hormone replacement therapy and account for them. And when there are places by which it is unlikely an advantage can be mitigated, those things are restricted. And as Arden has said on here and other trans people have said on here a bunch of times, I assume you don't call in when the trans people are on because that would be much scarier for you. What if they're hot? It should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis with guidelines there. And if there is an advantage, then unfortunately, you're going to end up discriminating against somebody if that advantage can't be mitigated. But that's the best we can do. And instead, you just basically, if a trans person won, that means they won because they were trans. Therefore, cis people lost medals because of their advantage, which is not the 994 number you pulled out of your ass. That is what that is.
I don't really know what to do. You said a lot there
about trans issues. So you have zero actual ways it's good for women if we're talking about women broadly, but you dislike trans people enough that you wish MAGA would win?
I don't really want to do this anymore. You're putting a lot of words in my mouth, and
is that inaccurate?
Opinions, as you say, but
Jesse, is that inaccurate?
I don't think a lot of what anything you've said as to what you believe is, to my opinion, is inaccurate.
Then why can't you articulate the correction? Would you prefer MAGA over the Democrats, for example? And is it especially for women on the basis of trans people?
I don't think I necessarily understood the nature that I was going to have to come up with a whole list. I was coming up with one way in which women are less disenfranchised under...
Do you prefer MAGA or Democrats MAGA when it comes to women? Who would you prefer in power when it comes to women, MAGA or Democrats?
That have...
I'm putting words in his mouth, but he won't answer directly. Very clear choices. MAGA or Democrats? Which one?
Good and bad to both.
Excuse me?
I see good and bad to both.
And which one would you prefer? Which one has more good and less bad?
I don't actually know. It'd be on a topic by topic basis, but...
Putting words in his mouth. He won't answer the question. It's a very obvious question. He couldn't list a single actual bad thing from the Democrat side. His only good thing, actually, he did list one bad thing by accident on abortion. He tried to make it, but that'll be good for pro-life women, which he then agreed would be bad for women generally because not all women are pro-life. But because of trans people, which affects an extreme minority of people, he can't see whether or not the one that wants women in the workplace, egalitarian policies for the workplace, the ones who want, and I'm not even a fucking Democrat, I'm a socialist. I'm further away from the Democrats than he, if he truly is a centrist, is. And yet I can pick between the two, which one are broadly better for women. Like I said to Thomas, be so fucking real right now. And if you're going to accuse me of putting words in your mouth, maybe say your own fucking words instead of obfuscating. Go ahead.
Jesse, what do you think is harmful for women when it comes to the left? Like, what would be your reason for if you were to pick MAGA over the left? What is the problem with the left for women? It might even be something I agree with you on. I don't know. I'm just curious.
He's already said the only one he has is trans.
Well, yeah, but that's still to me not even.
I mean, potentially, like, I don't know. I don't think I want to open other cameras. I would say diversity quotas, like in terms of outcome focused, not opportunity focused. Like anything that's providing more opportunities where there's not opportunities, I would say is positive. Anything that's focused on an outcome quota, I would say is potentially negative.
When's the last time the U.S. had diversity quotas?
Not recently with pilots and Supreme Court.
Incorrect. Diversity quotas were eliminated, I believe, back in 1978, having a follow-up elimination for exception programs in the 90s. And those diversity goals were surrounded by race, not gender. The diversity quota thing is, once again, a person just reading headlines, having no idea what DEI, for example, means, and just goes, oh, well, Republicans are telling me that this means there are quotas. That is not a thing. So you were asked what was bad for the left, and you listed a thing that isn't real. Silence.
I think I'm just confused because if your only point is, well, I just see some good things here and some bad things there and bad things there and good things there, it sounds like you're somebody who hasn't truly formed, you know, maybe some objectives for what kind of society you want to live in. And maybe you're young and you're still figuring that stuff out. I would encourage you to figure it out more. But if you're calling just to me, like, you know, great that you and Jimmy could talk, but to me, it's less interesting. Like, I can't help you decide how to have opinions about these things. And if your position is just like, well, it's all good and all bad, then I sure, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a desire of how you want society to play out, then sure, maybe you really just don't have opinions about those things. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more questions unless Jimmy does.
I have one question for you, Jesse. Since you're saying, yeah, I'm putting words in your mouth, I'll just ask you directly. Do you think if there is a field, let's say pilots, and let's say pilots are almost always white men, do you think it is bad if a company says, hey, we realized the reason why all of our pilots are white men is our advertising and our marketing when we need new pilots is only hitting white men. It's only going to white men. So what we want is to do an initiative that makes sure more than white men see it. Our standards are still the same. We still want you to show this amount of competence, but we'd like to correct this thing we've been doing and make sure that more women, more Black people, more people of color broadly, that they are aware this position is open so that more people apply from a more diverse background. Do you support that or are you against it?
Yeah, I'm in favor of removing any barrier of entry or stigma sort of stuff.
Just my specific example. You don't have to go broad with it. I asked the question the way I asked it for a reason. Do you support that initiative? Great. That's DEI. You support DEI. That is literally the thing that Charlie Kirk pretended was about quotas that you're trying to repeat about quotas and pilots. That's what DEI actually is. Identifying the blind spots and going out of your way to fix the fact that there are qualified people of color, but there may be some system in place preventing them from getting both being aware that these exist and getting through some sort of interview process because of internal biases of the interviewers, and basically trying to account for that and prevent it from happening. I'm so proud of you, Jesse. You are a DEI guy.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I'll go now. That's okay.
Okay, bye, Jesse.
Yeah. Thanks.
He's got to go have a existential crisis over finding out that he's pro DEI, I think.
Or maybe not. Maybe he's like truly just not figuring things out yet. He sounded really young. I mean, I could be wrong, but to me, it's just, that's interesting because why are you care? I guess you think you have an opinion enough to call a show and say something, but then it doesn't sound like he did have much of one. I'll take him for his word, and that we really don't know what he believes about most of those things because we didn't really get any kind of answers. And so then it's just, to me, I just kept hearing these like Fox News talking points, the pilots and the 900 medals. And so did you just happen to hear a couple of things that made you think maybe this is true? But then as soon as you hear enough about this other thing, then you go with that too. I want people to care more and develop positions based off of really wanting to know what reality is and what's going on. Like when you explain things without the term that Fox News vilifies, like DEI, then suddenly people are more in favor, or things like socialist things. A lot of people are like, yeah, I mean, sounds good that people can have food. You're right. Healthcare would be, those insurance rates are absolutely horrific. Like
eating's kind of the shit. Well, in fairness, when it comes to socialism, the insurance thing is a temporary measure right now because it's the best we're going to get. But socialist society would not have insurance at all. That's crazy. Private insurance, anyway. I mean, maybe for elective shit, I guess, if you wanted in certain socialist societies, but we would have a single payer universal healthcare system like you're getting to enjoy in Finland. It wouldn't matter whether or not you have an insurance card. When you go in, what's your policy? I need to look up your copay, all that kind of shit. Tom, you hung up. I'm sad you hung up. I was looking forward to hearing you say, why does anyone deserve handouts? Work hard and earn it. The sort of people who say, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and don't think about the physics of the statement they've just said.
And that was in reference to feminism too. So I was really interested to have that conversation if he wants to call back. I have a question right off the bat.
Hey, Rebel in live chat. Why are we so quick to go to vulgarities? Because I don't restrict my language due to superstitions over that words can some have more. I use the language of that which is useful to me in the moment. Now, when are you going to call in, or are you only brave in a live chat? Are you only brave at a keyboard? Or are you willing to call in and find out if your positions actually hold up, if they can take scrutiny, or are you just a messenger? Because if you're willing to talk to us, it's right there. 33654-32101. What are you going to say, Promise?
No, that was it. I just had a question for Tom if he calls. I mean, I guess we should assume that he's not going. I wanted to start with asking, does he think that it's a handout to be able to have a credit card? Because women weren't able to have those until 1974 or 1975. I can't remember which. And that came from feminism. Thank you. So are we calling that a handout? Are we calling the right to vote a handout? I was really curious to hear how he's going to mix feminism with handouts.
Handout, though, like literally, UBI is absolutely based as fuck, and we should do it.
Yeah,
my Jesus costume is supposed to arrive today. Don't forget, I'm going as I don't know exactly what these words mean. We'll drag Jesus, maybe queer Jesus, femme Jesus. I don't know exactly what word we wanted, but that'll be our Halloween show. Myself and Forrest. Has Forrest figured out his costume? Hey, baby girl, live right now, and everybody wants to know if you've picked a costume for this Friday's show yet. he was worried as a not queer man that people would be mad if he did drag, even though I gave him permission. Not everyone who does drag is queer. It's cool. And he's like, I don't want them to think it's making fun of it. It's like, dude, it's literally a satirical art form. If you're not joking at all, you're not doing drag. Do you think when they put their eyebrows on like that, they're like, this is a very serious representation of women. Get out of here. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Oh no, did I slip and say baby girl? I was mostly to annoy people. I thought it'd be funny. Anyway, that phone number right there. We've got time for another call, maybe even two, depending on how long Promise wants to stay. 33654-32101. MAGA, we want to know. We're here to help you. We'll even help you make your point if you're honest. But so far we've had a fascist and then a person who just like, but what I don't like is trans people.
I'm trying to get somebody to call in that's commenting on my stuff, trying to argue with the post that says, call us if you think Christianity and or MAGA is good. And they're giving their response there. And I'm like, call. The whole point of me posting that was for you to call. So we'll see what they say.
I have to not look at live chat more. Earlier when you were doing your longest back and forth with one of them, literally like I hadn't spoken in a couple minutes and somebody in there was still going, God, Jimmy will not let Promise speak. And I was like, holy fucking shit. I just really want to murder chat sometimes.
For everyone to understand, there is a massive delay. We did this last time. It's like a 3-4 second delay, which doesn't sound like a crazy delay, but it is a horrific delay. If we don't interrupt each other, then we don't talk. So you can be mad at me for not interrupting more often because that's what it takes. Somebody has to be talking for the show to run because otherwise it's not a show anymore. And I haven't been doing this in months and months. So there is kind of a rhythm that you get into. And trust me, I'll get back into it and Jimmy and I will get into a flow with this delay, but it is a thing. So this is not like Jimmy's one of my best friends. If I want him to stop talking, I will just start talking. Or if I really cared for some reason, I would text him. But to me, it doesn't really matter who's responding as long as somebody's responding. And I don't know, Jimmy, if this is your whole
my
program, so you
can correct me if you're more because you should be at home raising children.
Well, because I'm a woman. Right, obviously. But to me, there's usually like a driver for these shows and takes the lead. And then the other person is there like for when it's relevant. And so I'm happy to be hanging out. And when I really want to say something, I'll interrupt. And that's what we have to do. And Jimmy will have to interrupt me sometimes to get his points in too. So it's just, that's the nature of the show. Unfortunately, I would love it for it to be the kind of thing where we don't have this delay and that's happening less, but it's not going to happen. So anyways.
Until quantum internet. I don't know. I let them also talk more shit in live chat over here. Maybe I've been spoiled by the chat we more curate at the other one, but it to me, it's not the, oh my God, let Promise talk. Cause there's always going to be those people, no matter who it is, except for yesterday where I definitely over-talked John way too much and probably should have given him more room, but nobody said a thing. Anyway, what was I going to say? It was just funny that it was happening while it was the longest period of time I had been quiet, where I was just like, I'm going to fucking murder people. Just kidding. Only in VR chat. It's not even a game you can murder people in. Anyway, who's calling in? MAGA, we want to talk to you. 33654-32101. Phone number's right there on the screen. We would love to chat and see if you can stand up to it. I paid her, by the way, to do all of that to defend me. I Venmo'd her $45.
That would be nice. Like, you're welcome. You're welcome to.
For the meme. Thanks for the defense. I was so sad. I was doing the accounting yesterday. I was finishing it up yesterday, and I was like,
"You mean the fact that I don't make money anymore?"
You've done one thing. Well, you had nothing for the month of September, which is what
I was about to say. I didn't make any money. Yeah, I've been very not having money. I've been extremely loving my credit card.
Next month you're going to clean up.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
You got these two. You got at least 3, maybe 4 podcast episodes. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We operate on a profit share model, so if you don't work, you don't get paid. It's kind of
which is fair. And the more,
well, it's fair in our arrangement because everybody's part time and also works for themselves. for the record, I recognize if they were full-time employees and our actual employees, if they ever need to take off, we just don't. Like Arden, I've told her anytime she needs to take off, be sick or whatever, we're not going to dock her pay. It'll just be, she'll still get the non-profit share guaranteed money and stuff.
Well, it's fair because we're contracted out. We're not,
Yeah.
I can go do whatever I want. People are always shocked that I don't have, they're like, well, aren't you under some kind of contract with Jimmy?
Nobody is.
No.
We have no exclusivity contracts.
Yeah, we can go do, which honestly, unfortunately, is really, really rare in this quote industry or whatever you want to call this. So I don't know. I feel like shocking. You're doing things so ethically, but you do pay me a little bit extra when I say nice things lives, and
but that's out of my pocket.
I don't know if this counts, but you do pay me more if I talk less on each episode. So maybe that's
true,
also what people are picking up.
It's not that it's not that I pay you more; it's that I pay you less if you talk too much. It's
right,
that there's a deduction. So I hired somebody to word count promise.
Yes.
With a little, and that number is applied. It goes through an algorithm, and we reduce her pay on the basis of how many words she says, except for when she's positive about me. Then those actually, like, for every positive word she says about me, it adds 3 points back.
Jimmy's like, you didn't get paid in September, but October, you look like you might actually get a paycheck this month.
That's right. Yeah. It's actually 100-point bonus if it's objectifying. Positively objectifying toward me per word. It's crazy. That's why she's like, oh, Jimmy, your shoulders look so much more masculine today, whereas usually you look like you slope off and look like a... I've been so self-conscious about so many things recently.
Do you have rounded shoulders?
My shoulders, they look like this, which look fine head on.
I'm like a little, look at my little hunch.
Here's the thing. You know how we make fun of how Elon Musk has
Everyone just saw that and they're so upset. They've never seen us from that angle and they're like, oh God.
Oh, I've been showing people. Yeah, I got a humpback, first of all. This is the way I naturally stand. And my girlfriend will come up and she'll be like, you don't seem as tall right now. And that's her code word for like, stand up straight. And then I stand up straight and she goes, ooh, you're so tall that it makes me feel hot. But then I'm like, I do slouch. How tall are you, dear? Are you 5'7"? She's 5'8", and I slouch to her eye level. I'm not even joking. I'm 6'2", but I'm 5'8" when I slouch. And so she's like, "Why are we?"
That's actually impressive.
Yeah, this is like me stood up. And then look at all that negative space I can create when I just let my body cave in on itself. We have a call screening right now. We will get to here in a moment. I believe they're MAGA.
No,
sorry.
Sorry. I'll tell you guys, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff on here. I will announce my stuff that you need to know about on my Instagram when you can know about it. So don't worry. You will not. My publishing company will make sure that you do not miss it. So.
Godless Engineer just outed me in the chat. I said I hired someone to do word count. He asked, did you ask Claude for the Promise word tracking app? Yeah, I actually gave that job to an AI. Come on, John. Sorry I talked too much yesterday, John. I did realize that after. Usually I'm used to people excoriating me in the chat for talking at all when somebody else is, but apparently it's fine if it's a white guy. All you had to do was not be straight and somebody would have defended your mouth.
Oh, yeah. It's Eve_was framed.
Nobody. So you just said, oh, yeah, they can't hear her. So that just seemed like apropos of nothing.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My Instagram handle, for anybody who's asking, it's Eve_was framed. So yeah, if you guys are wanting to know about anything that I have going on, that's where it's going to be announced. And yeah.
MAGA, you can call anytime. At this point, we're at the conversation part of our thing. Because if you're not calling and defending MAGA, by the way, 1 million Charlie Kirks, I have yet to meet one. You guys just made 1 million more. Granted, he wouldn't have called in because he would have thought that he's above this because of, his riches and stuff. But you don't have riches. You're MAGA. You're poor as fuck, right? And you think that you're not going to be poor because of Trump. But you are poor, and you're not getting less poor, and your economic power is getting less. And he's fucking you. And he is fooling you. You have been fucking tricked.
And even the ones that are doing better, that are more well off, because I have those friends. Well, friends is a really strong word to use there. I have people I know that are MAGA that are doing way better than I'm doing money-wise, and yet they are still closer to being on the streets to having no food or money, then they are close to being a billionaire of any sort. So I don't understand why they go so hard for the billionaires.
The people who I think are actually
I'm
MAGA,
talking about my family. They are MAGA, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. And yet I think if they got into power themselves, they would actually rule differently than Trump. You know what I mean? But they see him as a tool for their end. I have to imagine they are incompatible with a lot of his values. Right.
For like
so I think rich people, if you are already rich, he is making you richer. If you're already well off, if you're already in a position of theocratic power, he is good for you. And so, but even though he is incompatible with you, so I see those people as opportunistic. The genuine MAGA movement is a bunch of poor people, or maybe lower middle class, and then some middle class, who have been absolutely fucking fooled by this guy into voting against their self-interest. Because when you are poor and there's no way out, a lot of the passions in your life have to be not about economic things. And that's why it's so easy to rise things like racial tensions and theological tensions between poor people, much easier than it is amongst communities of people who are more affluent, because a lot of those people are going to be more like, I'm just going about my day and I don't give a fuck. It's harder to make them, unless that's what they're making their money on, which is a lot of what we see. So that feels untrue, because what we're mostly seeing day to day is what not Charlie, he's not up to much anymore, is what Matt Walsh is up to these days, is what Michael Knowles is up to, Tucker Carlson, all Joe Rogan, all of these people, where most billionaires, you guys only just heard who Peter Thiel was. Like only just, but most billionaires are just kind of doing their shit. Most millionaires are just kind of doing their shit, and you're never going to know about them. Most, even people who are 100,000-aires are just out doing their shit, and it's harder to raise tensions in a way that they will be more active between those groups of people than it is in poorer groups of people, where it's like, well, we're not going to actually offer them solutions to their economic problems. So all of that stress, all of that anxiety that they are suffering, we will give them an outlet by essentially programming them, psyoping them into letting all of that energy and blame go towards somebody they can feel a sense of power over. Donald Trump is keeping you poor, but you can never fucking do shit about that. So why not be angry at a brown person whose life you can affect? That's essentially what MAGA does. That is essentially how MAGA works their shit. And they don't call to defend that isn't true. 33654320101. This is why when a person calls in to say why it's good for women, they, instead of talking about women, they talk about just trans people, the concept of trans people, not women broadly. Trans women are women, but not women broadly, trans people, this tiny little group, because I can outlet my shit at them whose lives I can affect and harm, and feel like I'm fighting back against something in my life that I hate, even though it's not actually helping me at all. And so if I succeed at oppressing them and they no longer have rights, it's not as though I'll then feel satisfied and my problem is solved. I'll jump to the next set group of people that I need to hate. Fox News knows this better than ever. That's why each election, suddenly there's a caravan coming. But then as soon as the election's over, where'd that caravan go? Where did that caravan go? Now, they did bring it back more recently to be able to get like the ICE stuff and shit going when they have an end. But generally it is so fucking bleak and just, it's all goddamn how fascism works. I mean, this is how you rise to fascism. Tell the people that you can solve their problems and lie to them about what their problems are. Donald Trump has done more to keep you poor than any 1,000 group of brown people combined, brown laborers combined. I'm sure there are a couple of rich brown people who fucking suck. It'll be disproportionately white, but obviously billionaires, there are some non-white billionaires, so there are evil brown people too, but it's really the whites. It's really the whites dominating that sector and fucking sucking, and he has done more than any combined 1,000 laborers.
I was just looking up, I was just thinking about, it's also funny to me that suddenly men start caring about female athletes. But then I was just looking at the sexual harassment rates that women in sports obviously experience more of. And I've never heard of any man calling into our show to talk about how they want to resolve that issue. And that's happening at a significantly higher rate than a woman athlete even getting hurt at all in the sport, much less by somebody that's trans. So
they're never going to bring that up. Men just want the privilege of being women so that they can join the women's group and then have the chances of being sexually assaulted higher than not just being a man, but also higher than being women. Trans women are more likely to be assaulted than cis men or cis women. They want the privilege of being women so they can be disproportionately way more discriminated against when it comes to work opportunities. It's hilarious that they think like just because this athletics thing, which isn't even a majority of trans people, right? Most trans people are also not athletes, but that men would want to join because there's such privilege with being a trans woman that it's a thing you would choose to do because you want to poop next to ladies. It is wild. And as people have shown when they called in, if I see a trans person go into the women's bathroom where my little girl should be, I'm walking in there myself and I'm beating the shit out of them. We literally had a person on this show say that. It was either last week or the week before. Proving once again, the danger in the women's bathroom is cis men. He's saying I would go in to a women's bathroom and commit a crime. But that's all they have. And unfortunately, right now, the people who are probably thinking about calling are thinking about calling because we're talking about trans stuff, because they can't call on other stuff. MAGA cannot defend their policies otherwise. MAGA certainly cannot defend the tariffs. The best we've had is a guy call in and be like, I, as a company, a small business owner who then did like at least millions, it may have even been 10 millions of dollars a year, calling himself still a small business owner because the number of employees was less than 400 or something, but does millions of dollars. The tariffs have been great because it incentivized me to bring my manufacturing to the US, and now I'm making more money. And it's literally like, this is 1000%, if the story is true, which it's not. But if it was true, basically what you're saying is MAGA is good because a couple of people do better and everyone else does worse. Like,
which is kind of like our point.
Get richer. Right. Get the fuck out of here. You're fine because you're rich.
Yeah.
You are not breaking out
I know.
of your economic class easier under Trump. It is definitely harder to get out of. If you're poor, you're going to stay poor. If you're middle class, you're going to stay middle class. Actually, it's probably more likely than before. It is more likely than before. If you're middle class, you will become poor. But going up in the class ladder, much harder under Trump. And because of Trump.
It would have been nice if somebody had called in today that had a reason to be excited, like a policy, like something exciting, like this is what MAGA is going to do that would make you as a woman just excited to vote for MAGA. Like something that isn't fear mongering, something that doesn't involve taking away the rights of other people. What is there? And I guess it's that there's nothing, which is why now we're not getting any callers, which I'm not mad about because I'm tired, but.
Somebody said, yep, it was 399 employees, but 400 contractors on top. Just taking a look at the comments here. It is funny, though. There were more people trying to debate in chat. If you have a point to make, why would you limit it to the number of people in chat? Let's find out. Right now, I know there's going to be a few people who can't do it, but only if you have written a single thing in chat. And actually only if you are watching the live chat, reply to this poll. Are you actively watching the live chat? And so actually, I guess you can one off because the answer will be no here. But if you aren't actively watching the chat, you're really just absorbing the show. Right? No, because I'm curious on maybe it's different on a vertical. When it's a horizontal, it's not even 10% of people watching the actual live chat. They're just here listening to the show. But maybe it's different with vertical because vertical like really puts it in your face. The hard part is too, right now, if you aren't watching the live chat, man, this was a bad poll. Because if you're just listening, you may not want to go grab your phone just to even respond. You're also less likely to respond if you're not actively watching the live chat right now. This poll doesn't work at all. I mean, it's already only at 50-50 from the people who were willing to say they are, and we're getting up to above. but I'm realizing that this doesn't work. And it kind of tells you something that we've only got 200 votes of the 1,000 or so people who are watching. MAGA, we want to talk to you. Why do you believe what you believe? 33654-32101. Get on that. Let's call. Let's figure it out. We need to figure out a better way. We need to have a better process in place. I have this fucking ingrown hair on my chest right now that you can kind of start to see. It doesn't pop with like pus or anything. It's clearly a monster, but it's not in an area. It's not in a spot that when I look down, I can physically see with my eyes. So I can't do my own little, like, open it with a lancet and pull it out with some sterilized tweezers. But it hurts way too much to touch to let my partner do.
You can get a hot compress and put it over it, and it might even start opening up on its own.
Yeah, I know. I took a hot shower with it and then didn't do it, but I know. As a licensed
hot compress is not a shower.
But it is. It's heat. The answer is heat. You can put heat on it, and the heat causes the natural response. And so hot shower plus my bed is heated, so hot bed. All these things have yet
How
to.
hot of a shower do you take?
Well, to a woman, I'm sure it's downright cold. But there is steam coming off of the shower. The shower steams when I shower. It is very hot, and I run out of hot water because I do it hot. But I'm sure to a woman, because I don't get first-degree burns.
That's what was my question. I don't think
my current partner uses hotter showers than I do, but my old partner did. Basically wanted unachievably hot showers. Luthien, who takes a hotter shower, me or you? Oh, I take hotter showers than Luthien, apparently.
Oh.
So there's that. Ha! Got her. Ruined. This is the end of your debate career. You just lost so bad.
Okay.
Put that in your book.
I lost to an ingrown hair shower.
Can I mention that in my blurb? As the only person to document it, have defeated promise and debate, I endorse this book. And then a link to the episode with the timestamp.
Oh my God. My publisher would be like, we're not putting the book out anymore.
Can my blurb be a QR code?
What do you mean?
A QR code instead of words. It just says it's just a QR code. Oh my
God. You mean like where it's a QR and then you just keep changing what it says all the time?
Yeah,
absolutely
just
not.
Have it keep
You're asking for a billboard on my book.
Yeah. Yeah. But I won't abuse it. Billboard sounds like I'm going to use it for economic advantage. Okay. I'll use it just to roast.
I know what it would be for. It would be to roast me. Yeah, that's the worst possible outcome.
What if it's this?
Like I finally do this thing. I've waited Those are the worst clips of me that exist. Because when we do the podcast, I'm just kind of like hanging out and I'm saying dumb stuff the whole time. And it's just you and Alyssa, like, you've never seen that show? You've never heard of that joke? You've never heard of that person?
If Jovan really said it, then I got a bone to pick with Jovan. Socialism is a subset of communism. Or sorry, communism is a subset of socialism. It is end stage socialism. You could call it a kind of. And as far as Jimmy said that, so did Marx and Engels. So, but it is that communism would be a kind of socialism, a subset. It is a category of socialism. Whereas it is Jovan's theory that you can skip the socialist sort of, that socialism's more of an alternative phase that you could skip and go straight to communism. That it need not apply, that it is unnecessary. So to whoever in the chat said that that's what I said, as a result of that's what he said. And it's also such an unimportant distinction. It does not fucking matter. Right now, we're so far that my only priority is getting Medicare for all. We are starving for a real debate.
Like,
no,
just
the reason why is just step up and take Jovan. No, because I don't care about the leftist audience like that. I care about us working together toward Medicare for all and stuff. But leftist audiences are fucking toxic as fuck. And the infighting amongst leftists, I'm not going to set you guys up for that fucking shit. I fucking hate you people. You're just my allies. I hate you though. God, I fucking hate being on the left. Except for the values. Some of that was a bit.
Oh my God.
That was
a bit.
70% a bit. That was 40% a bit. That was like 18% at least a bit. Anybody calling? MAGA's got nothing today. MAGA got none of it.
I think I'm back. I'm back next Tuesday, right?
Yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Did you tell me that?
You think that's so cute, but Alyssa and I have been saying that.
I know you did. I was borrowing it.
Okay, you can borrow it.
I was trying to be one of the gals.
Okay, you can be one of the gals.
I have such a sloped
see you next
forehead.
Tuesday.
This is another
As
thing I found
opposed
out.
to what? Do you want a concave one?
No, I found out. Look, turn sideways and look at your own image if you can. Give us the profile again.
I can't.
Yours is nowhere. Yours is not. I have like Neanderthal slope. It's wildly bad. We found this out because I got a new VR headset and my head doesn't fit correctly because of the slope of my forehead. And then
kind of funny.
I was with my girlfriend and I was like, do I have an abnormally sloped forehead? And she's like, not like by a lot.
Oh, you know it's bad when they have to go ahead and start making you feel okay about the answer they're in the middle of giving you.
Which is yes. Yeah.
Well, at least my face is just so small that like it's not.
Hate you too, Jimmy.
Do you not?
I just got a lot of people saying we hate you too. Hate you too, Jimmy. But Liz Chris said we love you too, Jimmy. You I've never hated. But being on the left is awful, except for the values. It's, you know what it is? I've never liked communities. Genuinely, I like having a community, but communities themselves that I don't have hyper control of. So maybe it's a personality flaw of mine.
Maybe you're an authoritarian.
My favorite community is The Line, where I'm paying everyone to be my friend. The word count is real.
Okay, I resent that because I would. Okay, I was your friend before I was on The Line, and I've been still your friend all summer when I haven't been on The Line. So
that's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Only you were my friend. You've always been my friend, only with the knowledge money would be coming, but never.
That's not true. When you were asking me about chewed gum, I was like, "Yeah, this sounds amazing." And then you were like, "Oh, and here's how the payment will work." And I was like, "I'm getting paid? What?"
Oh yeah.
So remember,
that was a mistake on my part.
Yeah. I know you're good. I could have been the one person working for The Line that doesn't get paid.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be some right-wing person who takes that clip who's like, even he admits that they are insufferable. And I'm like, bruh, I didn't say that my community's worse than yours.
Humans are insufferable in general.
I will say you probably have an easier time going fishing with a person you didn't know voted for Trump because they might not tell you that they voted for Trump and you might not ever talk about politics. Whereas I feel that those odds go down if you go fishing with a leftist. You know what I mean? It's like, guy, I just wanted to fish. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Come on. Come on.
You need to come to Finland. You can go
fishing
fishing with a lot of leftists that would never say they're leftists. So
yeah. I'll go fishing with them.
There's a lot of fishing here.
Or what's the deal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ice fishing. I like good fishing.
In the summer. You don't have to do ice fishing. You can do every kind of fishing.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can line up my time off with those 3 days.
Very funny.
That's exciting. There you go.
Very funny.
I'm hilarious. All right, well, MAGA, this is your last call. If you want to call in and argue with us, debate with us, we'll give you another 2 minutes to call in. Otherwise, I think we're wrapping it up. Never thought I'd see the day that Jimmy Snow wraps it up. That's a condom joke. Oh,
I even got it this time.
What do you mean? Ew! It's fine to have safe sex without condoms. It's not inherently gross. I have had condoms.
It is. Okay.
I hate the smell of condoms. I have a tremendous aversion to their smell, but I've never used that as can we not because of the smell for the record before someone suggests that? Go on.
You know those trees? I think they're Bradford pears. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they bloom in the spring.
Of course, everyone knows a Bradford pear tree.
Wait, are you making fun of me?
Yes.
Yes, because they smell. Okay. See.
They smell of condoms.
Anyways, they smell sometimes of condoms, sometimes worse.
I was on Discord earlier. MAGA, last chance to call in if you want to tell us why we're wrong about politics being on the left, why MAGA is good, especially why is MAGA good for women? Do you reckon it is? 33654-32101. Everybody in the chat, double tap your screen right now if you want to see me go. Thank you. Double tap the screen for that new awesome feature. I'm just going to do that so you all accidentally click like, and then it's hard to undo for some reason if you're actively live. But yeah, go ahead and double click the screen and maybe that'll get us a little bit of algorithm, get a few more people in here and we'll get some debaters. Cause right now y'all are just being real brave in live chat, but you're not here. We want to hear, why is MAGA good for women? Why is MAGA good? Period. Why is MAGA good for periods?
Why is MAGA? Why is MAGA?
Why is MAGA? Why is period?
That's another good question.
Fucking God. Terrible.
It's okay though. If I don't have to, if I get to wrap the show a little early because MAGA can't defend themselves and I get to sit here in this social democracy hellhole over here, I think I'll be all right.
If God's such an intelligent designer.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Do you guess how many Starbucks there are in Finland? There are Starbucks here, but guess how many? And keep in mind that Finland drinks like some of the most amounts of coffee per person per capita in the world. How many Starbucks do you think are here?
1. Did I make
3.
It bad by guessing
maybe
poorly?
4.
3. Luthien, that person was joking.
Amazing.
The phrase "they won't call because the numbers are Arabic" is a joke. The numbers are Arabic. These numbers were invented in Persia. Is that where these Arabic numbers come from? Anyway, the joke is that because the numbers are Arabic, they're too xenophobic to call. Is what that joke was. It's a pretty good joke. We didn't. Anyway, sorry you got your message deleted. Sometimes the mods don't get it right away. Does homosexuals is really gay? Mm-mm. Guys, is it gay to bang a girl? Because they're all like, ooh, I'm a girl, I'm feminine, I smell good, I like, ooh, I've got girl, I look like this. Ooh. Isn't that kind of gay to want to bang a girl? Isn't that pretty gay? It's kind of gay. Like, if I'm a man, I'm masculine, I like masculine things. Wouldn't it be straight to want to bang a guy? Because they'd be like, yeah, I'm a dude, I'm masculine. And you'd be like, so that's straight.
Isn't that what that far right group is basically arguing?
I don't know. I don't listen to them. But I know that's
you say that like I'm sitting around listening.
I know you're subscribed.
Like, fuck you.
I know you're subscribed.
God.
Yeah. I think Nick Fuentes did a similar joke once. If anything, I'm straight because I don't bang girls. If anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty gay to like girls, if you ask me. If you ask me, you're all they're like. It is funny though. Sometimes you'll see like videos on Instagram of like they don't know it's recording, and you see a guy who's usually presents really tough. He's like some big guy who's like, and then he's like with his girl, and he just like, and just like melts into her, and you're like, ew, that's so gay. I know what you're like behind closed doors because being gay is ew. Straight people are gay. It's gross. Well, I guess MAGA's done. MAGA gave up. 33654-32101. Last call for MAGA. Otherwise, we're gonna. Yes, that's right.
I'll see
Jimmy
you
likes masculine things. People, go ahead and super chat. We'll finish the show out reading super chats. We need to pay Promise for being here and missing so much time and stuff. So I'll pay Promise. Go ahead and super chat whatever you want us to read off. And we'll read off and respond to those while we wait to see if any other. Basically, if you want us to give more time for MAGA to call, super chat now, because we'll give them as much time as it takes to read through the super chats. The guy said Jimmy likes real masculine things like woodworking and slouching. That's right. I'm celebrating slouch.
Wait, we just missed Chad's. Can we go back one?
What did we miss?
We missed one of the super chats went before we started reading them. Are we reading them or are we not reading them out loud?
No, we don't have to put them on the screen. Wait, are we putting them on the screen? Oh, sure. Let's put them on the screen.
Okay.
I forgot we could do that.
I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Hell yeah. That's cool. I forgot I set that up. Fuck yeah. God, I'm good. Where are we? What is this one? I can't see it.
I know it's so tiny. I can't read. I can just see that it's a picture of my friend. So that's.
Aractus said, "Congrats on the new show, Promise. Love you." What is the Promise Backlund show, and when am I invited on?
I was gonna ask. Well, when I learn how to have guests, actually, is the first step.
You
would be so proud of me. You would be so proud of me that I even figured out how to do this. Like, I made a whole long format video and posted it. It's just a little podcast of me just yapping my mouth. Which there's actually going to be a reason for that I'll announce in a few weeks. There's going to be some other stuff. I've already told you about some of this, but anyways, yeah, you should come hang out on there once I figure out how to send you a link or however it's supposed to be done. But thank you so much, Chad.
What system are you using?
What do you think?
You don't know how to use the same system we use?
I started learning how to yesterday. I edited it. So that's why you're going to be happy, because now I can do more for the line, because now I was literally going to tell you all about this. I did. Well,
I like that phrase. Edited it. Lika says, Thomas, like the rest of his MAGA pals, doesn't know or care about the results of forcing women to have kids despite not wanting any. Yeah, the way the super chat banner is working right now is actually kind of nonsense. It's not important that you go back to the other screen and we'll read them out of the live chat. Yeah, we'll fix that.
So I need to open up the chat.
Definitely better way. Yeah, if you want, I can just read them to us too. Nobody's super chatting though. Apparently they don't want us to wait for more MAGA callers either. Apparently the chat's done with it, and they don't want Promise to get paid. Help Promise cover the
more exciting to me than money.
Help her cover the. That's crazy. Help her cover the fees, the speaking fees. By sending, and that's not a fee by which we pay her for speaking. The speaking deductions we've been giving her through. And MAGA, it's your last chance to call if you want to call 33654-32101. Lika says, Thomas, like the rest of his MAGA pals, doesn't know or care about the rest. Oh, we already did that. Of forcing. By the way, we never did let him go down his, do you have any kids right now? Because he probably would have said then, like, yeah, I would force you to stay home and pop some out. Probably should have let him continue his fascisting.
That would have been a fun conversation for no one.
Thomas, 1930s Germany called. They want their Nazi back. Godless Engineer had said to use Claude for the Promise word tracking app. We already did that one. Joshua Everett says, Team Paycheck for Promise. Hashtag Jimmy's forehead slope is dignified. I'm thinking about opening a skate park on it.
That's a good. Oh my God.
It's too dangerous. Its slope's too steep.
You're getting a complex now about your forehead.
Yeah, but at least I'm not thinking about my gut now, because I'm just thinking about my forehead all the time. Not looking at my belly and my man boobs as much. I'm like, who cares about those? People can take their eyes off of my slope. It's because it takes so much time. If you just want to track the distance between here and here, like taking your eyes the whole distance, it's like a 2-hour trip. That's how big the slope is. Sad Tech Geek says, don't hate the Canadian socialist, Jimmy. I kind of just hate everybody right now. I don't know what to do. You know, it's hard. I hate my enemies, but man, I hate my friends. Brent says, monies. I love some of them though. Brent says, monies. Hell yeah. Dr. Person Man says, Jimothy McJimbersome. I like these new names.
These are cute.
What should y'all can the highest super chat can pick what my married last name will be one day. So I'm not particularly attached to my last name. I don't think my partner cares that much that I take her last name. Snow isn't my real last name. So let's make it something crazy. I'm just kidding. I'm not really going to let people buy that. Not for, I'd let somebody buy it for the right dollar amount. But then I'm like,
I was about to say, not for anything.
And somebody's
this is going to be the next thing at one of our fundraisers.
What if like Pfizer buys it for $2 million? So like $2 million, you make your last name Pfizer. That'd be rough. That'd be a little rough. No, that's not. You don't. Okay. That's a pharmaceutical company.
What?
If I let Pfizer buy my last name for $2 million, wouldn't that be like? I thought it was funny. Space Barbarian says, because I'm an anti-pharmacy company socialist. They're like, that would be like the height of capitalism and like the worst kind of capitalism. Okay.
So much bad
Space
at once.
Barbarian says,
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I wanted you to chuckle once. The maggots are trying to call, but keep using Roman numerals. They don't know how to read Roman numerals. Get out of here. Valvifer says, when's the last time you went fishing, Jimmy? Okay, that's besides the point, but it's probably been 2 years now because I was sick all that time, and then I would probably go fishing.
I didn't know you actually go fishing
now. Yeah, I like to fish. Not like to eat it. It's kind of the shitty way. I probably shouldn't admit this on. I like the act of going. I actually don't care if we catch fish. I just like to go out and be quiet.
You just want to sit there with a string in the water?
Honestly, a lot of times I don't even cast. Usually I'm going with somebody who is interested in catching fish to eat. I don't go by myself.
Sitting by water?
Yeah, I'm being quiet.
Yeah. Go do that.
Casting though. That's Casting's fun. I've even done that without a hook on. You just go out and you practice casting. I probably will do that before too long because my cast is probably off. Probably not as good at it right now.
I don't know why. I don't like that word.
Casting?
Yeah.
Maybe because you're thinking of like casting couch. I'm not fucking the fish. Promise. Look, I'm not. Listen to me. I'm not fucking the fish. Luthien, could you screen the call that's waiting real quick? We might have a fish on the hook. I
got to go to bed.
I'm not fucking the fish, promise. Jesus. Duty Encouraged says, pay promise more monies. That's nice.
Aww, thanks, guys.
How much to make your last name Epstein? Well, a lot. I want to say the answer is 0, but let's be real. At a certain point, you start adding zeros and no number is 0. Now, I'll tell you this. If the number's over $1 billion, I promise to spend down through charity to be under $1 billion again. I would not stay a billionaire. I wouldn't even stay 100 millionaire. So I don't think anybody needs to have more. I think more than $100 million is for sure a type of greed that like should be a crime against humanity. And if the death penalty was, I don't believe in the death penalty, but if I did, it'd be like, yeah, murderers, violent rapists, people with more than $100 million would pretty much be my list of who to do that. That's not to say that I think $99 million is when it's okay. I know 100 million is where I can easily defend above. I don't know what the exact number below that is what I would cut off as the maximum wage. It's certainly less. I just don't know. I just haven't. $100 million is easy to work with. It's convenient when you're debating and stuff too. So how much to make my last name Epstein?
You could release files and say that they're the Epstein files and that they have Trump in them.
That's my new podcast. Welcome to the Epstein Files. I'm Jimmy Epstein.
God, I don't know that.
Jimmy Epstein doesn't even roll off the tongue. You'd have to be like James Epstein at that point, which sounds awful. It sounds like I went to the island at that point. Sounds like I've been there. Epstein. And then it sounds like a full name. Yeah, we will. Let me quick run through these and we'll pick it up if it's ready. I'm going to use AI to make this take as long as possible to extend the stream intricately, interminably, inevitably elaborative echoes, internally entangled, eloquent, elongated enunciations. # Team Arden. That was from Sophie Dawson. Never had a bidet says you won and scared off every MAGA. Pay promise, you capitalist. Yes, capitalism is when you pay people. Sad Tech Eat says Ivana Tinkle, but be back soon. Everybody should go to The Line Has a Podcast after this and watch the last episode with Alyssa and I, because I responded to a comment on this channel of somebody claiming I'm a capitalist first. I'm not kidding. I'm a capitalist first because even though we do 6 horizontal streams a week and 5 and clips horizontally here, the fact that I do vertical streams that he who calls himself a socialist doesn't like at all means I'm a capitalist first, punishing the longer term fans. The people who've been here longer are getting punished. But again, they're not getting less. They're actually getting the same as before, but we're doing something new that doesn't center specifically him, who half his comments are complaining about as much. Just another reason I hate Gen Z. So a guy claiming to be a socialist who's, anyway, I read the comments at the beginning of the episode of Line as a podcast, and we kind of shit on that. And some people were shitting on Alyssa in comments recently. Sad Techie says, Ivana Teen cool, but be back soon. Space Barbarian says, Aerosmith had a modest proposal. And Liz Chris says, Johnson & Johnson would be funnier than Fisher. Oh, you meant Pfizer. Overly Royable says, hey, I hear Valkai is a good chosen last name. Be a Valkai, steal Forest Thunder. That'd be pretty funny. Rihanna Kiev says, promise you're awesome. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. All right, thank you. Let's talk to Charlie in Pennsylvania. Charlie in Pennsylvania is calling to claim that MAGA is good for women. Charlie, let's start. If we can do a short list, and then we'll let you get to your individual points. Also, I think we might be on speakerphone because I'm hearing little echoes. If we can come off of that. Charlie, would you give us a short, like, itemized list before we get into the details of the categories or so that MAGA is better for women for?
You want a short list of reasons why MAGA is better for women?
Yeah. And we'll get into the meat of the list for, once we get going. But yeah, if you want, I'll tell you why I'm asking Charlie.
Can I also say I'm looking for reasons why MAGA would be good for women. Like, just they should be super easy point. Like, this is the reason, this is the reason, this is the reason.
And then we'll get into the meat.
Well, for starters, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
And then we'll get into the meat. Go ahead. What's your first one?
I haven't heard anything from this stream yet. I actually just got here, so I really don't know what your arguments are whatsoever. I have zero idea.
You don't have,
so I'm more
so you don't have, we're wanting to hear your arguments. Why should, like, convince me why I should want to be MAGA as a woman specifically. What good is MAGA doing for me as a woman?
Starting with the list, what's the first thing you would put on the list?
Well, that's my question. Like, first of all, like, when we're talking MAGA good for women, why are we differentiating that from just people in general? That's my question for you guys to start.
Charlie, easy. If I answer that question, will you then answer mine? I will answer the question, but I want to make sure then you will do mine.
Oh yeah, well, like, I need to understand that to be able to answer the question.
So it's this is going to sound like a joke. It's not. It's because it's Wednesday. Like, the reason why we're doing it today is because today is the day that Promise was coming on. Promise does a show over on the Line about deconstructing as a woman for religious issues. And that is a lot of the type of activism she does. Yesterday we did, is it better for basically, like, just generally, though we were talking about the government shutdown, is the government shutdown good for America, and who owns the government shutdown? Democrats. Or on Monday, we had Alyssa on, so that was a little bit very more specific on like waiting until marriage. It was more of a sexual thing. On Sunday, we had Javon on, and Javon generally it will go with is MAGA better than leftism? Is it better generally for people? Javon is black, and so oftentimes black issues will come up as well. So it's because it's a different day of the week, and we cover different categories.
Also, you can have reasons that I should be excited about MAGA that aren't just because I'm a woman. That's fine. If it's reasons, like, if everyone should be excited about these reasons and it applies to me as a woman, then great, let's hear it. Like, you're going to make, you're going to get healthcare or something. Like, tell me something I should be excited about.
So what's your list now, Charlie?
Basically, what's that?
So now you said you would answer my question after we answer yours. What is the list? What's the first thing on that list of why MAGA is good for women?
Well, I'd say the first thing on that list specifically would just be, I believe that it's, this may sound very general, but, I think that you can start with a pretty general statement, kind of as like an overarching view of the, the rest of the reasoning. But I think that MAGA is just better for people in general. So that.
Okay, great. So we'll put that as number one because it's better for people. So now what's reason number two? And let's make this one specific to women.
Yeah. So I'd say that when this conversation happens, it probably just comes down to, I didn't watch the stream, but I'm sure there was plenty of talk on abortion, right? So I'm sure that abortion
Okay,
is
there
probably
wasn't. There
the
really
main,
wasn't,
like,
actually. You'd be the first person to really
there
take
wasn't.
on abortion. It was very briefly mentioned by another caller. So you would say the
Well,
abortion
that's the
issue,
toughest
great.
topic.
What would be number 3?
That's the
Yeah, sure.
well,
I just
the
want to get the
abortion
list,
issue
and then
is
we'll
the
get into the
toughest
meat
one.
and potatoes, and we can even let you choose amongst it. So we made 1 because it's broadly better for people. Obviously, we're not going to do too much of the meat of that because then we're going to have to split that into its own list. So right now we have on the abortion issue, it's better for women. What would be
But
number 3?
I need, hold on.
Go on.
I would just want clarity. When you say the abortion issue, are you saying MAGA is going to provide more freedoms for women to be able to have abortions? They're going to start paying for it. Like, I don't under, are you saying?
I assume as we're, because since we're in the list making phase, I assume he's saying the MAGA position on abortion is superior to the alternative. Is that correct, Charlie?
No, so I'm saying that you guys, your point is basically the opposite of my statement.
You don't know what our point is, so let's hear what your points are instead of trying to guess the arguments.
No. If I'm saying MAGA is better for women, and you're asking people to debate you if MAGA is better for women, then you're basically opposing that, right? Which means that you think MAGA is not better for women, right? So I'm
correct.
assuming
So now we're on the list.
your position is.
All we asked was your clarification, and I asked if your position is that the MAGA position on abortion is superior to the opposition, the alternative, to our position is fine. And I just asked if that was accurate for the sake of making clarification. Is that accurate?
To clarify, I'm trying to express that I believe you are opposing my position, mostly because probably the abortion, any kind of line of abortion arguments, that's what I'm asking.
Charlie, I promise it's not a trick question. I don't know why we're getting lost here. So let me make it, I'll take it down like a level back even. Do you agree with what is the MAGA position on abortion?
Okay, so that's a pretty straightforward question. It's a tough one. I'd say abortion on all of the MAGA issues, the 2 ones that I believe are the toughest, like all the things that people dislike about MAGA. I think that the toughest ones to defend are when you had the stream with Alyssa. There's no way I could call in and oppose you on that. It's very difficult for the marriage thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a very difficult argument to make, the not have sex before marriage thing. It's definitely a possible argument to make, but I mostly agree with you guys there.
Thank you. Charlie, what are your reasons why you think... No, but what are your reasons why you think MAGA is good for women?
Well, I believe that, MAGA, if you look at the character of people that believe in MAGA, you may believe that they're not good people and they're very bad people. You know what I'm saying?
Charlie, I gotta stop you. This is none of this is a trick. I'm going to mute you. I don't need to hear your backstory. I don't need to hear these other things. You're right. We may agree on some stuff. I don't know. That's not what we're asking right now. We're just trying to ask, why is MAGA good for women? And if you have some reasons to give us, let's hear them.
I'm trying to do that.
But Charlie, you're preambling.
You're not. You haven't given us them.
And we're not mad at you for it. You don't do this for a living. And maybe if you watch back after, you'll see it. You're right now. It feels like you're eventually going to get to a point, but the amount of stuff you're putting before it that is unnecessary is what we're trying to get past. So we're 8 minutes into the call, and we just want the first reason why MAGA is good for women.
Well, sometimes when you bring up a point, it doesn't really make any sense without the prior context. So I believe that it would have been better,
Charlie. Make the point and then tell us, by the way, I don't think this will, there's additional words that I think I need to say for the context to fill in. Make the point first, and then let's discover whether it needs more, because it may not.
Okay, well, it's just the reverse of what I was doing, which I don't mind. I could just reverse the words. But,
great, let's do that.
To finish the point is that I think you can actually argue what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely argue against it if you actually know what I'm saying. So I think the niche of people that believe in MAGA type values, right? I believe these people, whether you agree with everything, every political position they have or not, these people, as people, I believe are very strong people, very strong-willed people, and they're very willing to fight for what they believe in. These are all qualities that I think.
Hey, Charlie, sorry, I don't understand what's going on here because this is not what we asked for. Like, this is not the conversation that we're trying to have. We're just asking you, like, what are some policies that MAGA has or some values that MAGA has that should make me want to be a part of MAGA?
Charlie, I'm sorry. You're saying that you're trying to, right now you're giving us a speech on how, like, regardless of if we disagree, they are strong people. They are blah, 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 blah. Why? Broadly.
Well,
just straightforward.
Can you say that?
Why is MAGA
I've seen Jimmy talk
good
about this
for
before.
women?
I've seen Jimmy talk about this before. If you think that, Trump is very self-centered and he's like all about himself and yada, yada, yada.
Hey, Charlie, Charlie, this is really frustrating.
I can't make my point.
No. We're not letting you make unrelated points.
Less of one while I'm muting you. It's just like, if you ask me, why do I think living in Finland is a positive thing? I can tell you, well, the public transportation is amazing. I really enjoy the healthcare. The culture is fun. I can give you points. I can just go ahead and answer. And then I can deep dive into more. That's how this goes. We're asking very basic questions. If you're just calling to be an apologist for seeing the humanity of MAGA people, that's a completely different conversation. And that's not what we're asking. You called in saying MAGA is good for women. We're asking, why is MAGA good for women? And just give us a few points like, they're offering free healthcare to everyone. Give us some points. That's all that I'm asking for.
Before we unmute you, let me ask you this, Charlie, and I'm going to try and tug at your heartstrings right here. When the show is over, I have medical issues I actually need to see to. Right now, I don't feel well. If you are calling in to just fuck with us, and this is like a bit you're doing, where you're like trolling and you're pretending you're going to get to a point, you're just trying to see how long you can stay on air without ever, because we're 12 minutes in and you have yet to say, you just said the word abortion before. I tried to lock in and get you to explain where on abortion or what position yours is and if it's compatible with them. And you've gotten somehow further away. For the sake of humanity, and that I'm a human and you're a human, and you don't want me to be here if I'm literally sick and there's not a productive reason to be here while I'm sick. Will you just admit to me if you're just fucking with us right now?
I'm not. I'm sorry that you're sick. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I have health issues. It's fine. But I was sitting here going, it almost feels like you're trolling at this point because every time, Charlie, then let's just do it like this. Let's make it super simple. Please start the next sentence with MAGA. Hang on, Charlie. Just start with MAGA is better for women because, and end that sentence in under 10 words. And then we'll let you say a sentence after it too. But in under 10 words, MAGA is better for women because, and just give us that so I can write down the point and then you can start supporting it. But if you're truly not a troll and you're not fucking with me and seeing how long you can just be on air, please do that activity.
I mean, realistically, I've been interrupted like 50 times. So, I mean, I feel like I'm being like held here because I'm trying to.
Great. That's great, Charlie. So now I just gave us the activity that cuts all the way through it. So MAGA is better for women because, start that sentence, please.
Yeah, so MAGA is better for women because I think that MAGA men, right? I think MAGA men are better for women. Okay. And if you want to talk actual policy, we can talk actual policy, right?
I do. What's an actual policy?
Why?
What's an actual? Because what you said about the men thing is so subjective and opinion based, and it's based on cliches of what you think a MAGA man looks like versus a MAGA woman looks like, and you won't. And so you said if we can talk, if you want to talk policy, we can talk policy. So let's do that. MAGA is better for women because of the following policy.
Well, when I originally came into this call, I was trying to understand, are you guys talking generally? Are you guys talking policy? I was trying to understand that. And I was also trying to. So
now we're talking policy. MAGA is better for women because of the following policy. Go.
And I was trying to say that I was trying to ask you guys, what policies do you guys believe is MAGA doing that is bad for women? That was what I was trying to understand.
We'll get there. For the moment with you. and we'll definitely get there. For the moment with you, MAGA is good for women because of the following policy. Go.
The following policy that I believe that MAGA is good for women for is that there isn't a policy that MAGA is bad for women for. It is basically like saying that, something is good because it's not bad. You understand that? There's nothing that's really like too in depth when we're talking policies for just women, because the government isn't really making policies for just one group of people, right? That's not what the government typically does when we're talking, like, they don't have policies for just Black people. They don't have policies for just, certain specific groups, unless there is like a reason, like an age range or whatever, like a law to protect a certain age range. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't really understand. What is the
Charlie,
law?
Charlie, you are definitely wrong here. You're kind of like saying broadly, when there are systemic issues identified, often the government will use a law that, while you may say the text doesn't say specifically Black people, for example, there are laws that were built to bring ending redlining was disproportionately to affect Black people because redlining affected Black people. But you don't actually have to say the word, it may, but you don't actually have to say the words Black people in a law to end redlining for it to be a Black focused law. So women in this country, right now, we already know that the American experience is tailored to a point that if you are born a cis-het white man, you have more privileges, you have access to more, and right now you're kind of in that default population that is ahead of the other populations, even if you individually are not, but because of that, your community opportunities may be higher. So what we're saying is there are things that disproportionately affect different groups. Clearly, there is a difference between a woman's experience under the Biden administration or the Harris administration or a leftist administration. And so we can easily come here and list to you what the alternative would have been to Trump and why these policies, even if it is a policy that is broadly positive, like a healthcare policy, we can tell you why specifically it will help women. And that is the type of conversation we are now 16 minutes into, just when you've been live on the phone. So another minute or two on top of that, 16 minutes in, and we're still talking about the conversation instead of having it.
So the policies that you're talking about that are better for women, that were under Biden and were under Democrats, you're talking about healthcare, you're talking about abortion.
Here,
correct?
we can start with this one.
Rights.
They fired the board members of the National Labor Relations Board, which has a majority Black and Asian women, and this directly harms women and their rights. Then we can go look at all the healthcare cuts that have happened, which massively impact women. I don't even want to get into the abortion side of things, because to me, that's not even right, which we can get. There's so many other things.
With Planned Parenthood, defunding Planned Parenthood does mostly non-abortion services for women who we already know, again, from stats, that they are underserved. And like we brought up kind of earlier, you said you weren't here for it. Even just things like having an option of a woman as a doctor raises outcomes to be better for women, because women understand each other's sort of struggles more, challenges more. And so anything that undermines women's access to healthcare when they're already an underserved population is a negative. Doesn't mean that I'm saying the alternative that the Democrats had was adequate, but it was better. And so there have been lots of women's healthcare policies. And again, we can do abortion if you want to do abortion. Obviously, it is because of MAGA that there are places in this country now that even at the point where you have a zygote or an embryo with like no brain, no ability to, it isn't more significantly alive than any individual egg or sperm. Even at that point, there are places in this country you still cannot terminate that pregnancy, and you are committed to it unless you go to another state. And if you get found out doing that, now some states are trying to make it illegal and punish you for seeking that reproductive care in a different state. So that would be some of the MAGA stuff. But on top of that, going after defunding women's clinics, defunding, making it so that health insurances don't have to cover things like contraceptives, making it so that contraceptives have the potential to be illegalized in states in the future. So not even talking about abortion, just preventing pregnancy, going after things like that. It is really, really easy to point to all the way MAGA and Project 2025, which we now do know was their plan all along, is something like 40% completed.
That's what I was going to say.
Another 20 to 40% in active development right now. So here's Charlie, I'm trying to kind of model for you, asked you over and over and over again. What are the things? What are the things? What are the things? And just kept having conversation about the conversation. So finally, when I went, okay, fine, we'll do what we're asking you to do. We've now listed a bunch of stuff, and we just want a counter list, a list of your own that you can say. And it sounds like what instead you wanted was for us to list it, and then maybe you want to just repeat back things you've heard about those things. I don't know. You were hoping to only have to say, well, I think you're wrong on that, instead of presenting a positive position of your own. I don't know if that was the plan, and that's why it took so long to get here. But now we'll pass it back to you, Charlie, and beg you for some policies, some direct political consequences even would do, that are a positive for women specifically, because MAGA has power.
Yeah. So basically, when you're talking policies, I mean, what you guys said before, a lot of those things you guys said, I mean, is there any state in the entire country, and I'm genuinely asking, I don't believe there is, but you guys do this for a living, is there any state in the entire country that if you're, raped, or if there's an incest, you are not allowed to have an abortion? I'm just genuinely asking.
There are states.
How is this a I don't understand why we're letting him get so off track still.
It's a ginormous move of the goalpost, but I am going to answer. It's a huge move of the goalpost, because it wouldn't be adequate abortion care if in every state, when you are raped, you are able to get. However, there are, and I found the whole list, and it took me only a moment to do so. As of 2025, where abortion is banned, with no exceptions resulting from rape, those states are Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas. It used to also include, I want to say it was Iowa, but I could be wrong which state it was. But it was the state where initially it was illegal, until the big story of a 10-year-old girl, which they wouldn't even use the word rape. They would just say, like, had an incestuous relationship with a nearby person, was raped by a family member, got pregnant, and had to go to another state. And as a result of that, the voters came out, because there happened to be an initiative on the ballot near then, and corrected for it. But in a lot of states like Texas isn't even taking referendums on it. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want. So you are quite correct, or rather you weren't, you were asking for a person to assert that, yes, that is the case. However, we're not here saying that abortion isn't a right, or is a right only in the cases of rape. Abortion is a right beyond all of that, and moving the goalpost to specifically if you can get it when you're raped, therefore it's good for women because they have access to abortion, wouldn't be correct even if those states didn't exist.
Well, that wasn't my point whatsoever. But
what was your point?
I was genuinely wondering that. Although I don't want to be somebody that just like denies the facts. Maybe what you said is 100% true. Like I said, I don't study that. I don't do this for a living. But
you should if you're voting.
If that is true, if that is true, well, you gotta understand. I live in Pennsylvania. First of all, we're
and they don't have the internet in Pennsylvania.
State here.
Oh,
what's that?
Do they have the internet in Pennsylvania?
We're very half and half. If you know, we're a swing state. We're like the closest state. So I hear the positions of both sides quite often. So I get, basically all the information that, the people in the area are talking about. If the people in the area aren't talking about that, I'm just going to assume that isn't super important for voting. Because if I'm hearing from the Democrats,
I do that. I'm a leftist who lives in Texas. Should I only in Texas vote on the things that they're caring to make me hear about? Or is it up to me to find out what my values are independent from, if you're going to go with like, I only hear what my local masses are saying, you're essentially admitting I'm only going to hear what propaganda is successfully taking hold. Whether you think it's propaganda from the left or the right, notwithstanding, I'm basically going to only concern myself with that which propaganda is highlighting, which means you're only ever going to hear about what billionaire interests are, because that's whose interests are served the most by propaganda.
Well, if you come to Pennsylvania, you're welcome to come inform all of these people that don't know. You're welcome to come inform them all.
I don't have to. The internet exists.
What you just
I'm
said.
talking to a Pennsylvanian right now. I can inform you right now that you need to do better in informing yourself. My job isn't informing myself. My job is debating people, and my job is informing people. And so this can be one of those ways you get that information, but you need to inform yourself. You need to be doing more research. Anyway, what was your actual point? What would your point have been if there was no exceptions, or if there was all exceptions in every state for rape? What would that have improved?
Well, the only way I can tie back a MAGA policy to anything that relates to being better for women, because they're really, when you're talking being better for women, that is such a general thing. You can't really attach policies.
We already gave you several reasons why the alternative. You're saying it's such a general thing, so you can't argue much. But we gave you a list of several things that makes it worse. So if we can do it, you can too.
And like I said originally, the things that you stated were abortion related and were women reproductive system related, which is why I originally said when I said
name one
you guys
thing
are
Promise
talking about
listed,
policy.
because she didn't mention abortion at all. Can you name one thing Promise listed?
You guys definitely did mention abortion, and
yes, she did not.
A lot about.
You said all we mentioned was abortion. You guys made it about abortion, and Promise, I made it about a few things, but Promise listed a bunch of things that were specifically not abortion. She was doing it on purpose.
There's a labor. I talked about a labor union, and then also they eliminated the Gender Policy Council that was established to promote gender equity and to reduce discrimination based off of gender. So,
and we talked about a bunch of non-abortion healthcare issues.
Right.
Yes, of course you guys did,
I've been waiting this whole time to hear
the main one.
Why can we be specific and you can't?
Can we sit here and say abortion's important? It's an important topic. Can we sit here and say that?
Yes, but you're saying that that's the only one you can debate on, and you basically are acknowledging know that that's a complex issue that basically you can't argue against because some people are going to value abortion, some won't. Like you're trying to cop out that you can't argue because abortion's and by the way, abortion isn't even the categorical isn't the category. Abortion is a subcategory of healthcare. Healthcare is the main reason why it's bad. MAGA's bad for women.
That's what I was trying to say. That's why I was talking about. I said abortion, women's reproductive systems. That is like the general topic that is probably most important. So that's why I was saying that's the one I was going to tackle. I don't know why you're getting very upset about me.
I'm not upset at you.
You are tackle like the big one.
I am not upset at you. You are going all over the place and trying to say like you're basically that the cards are against you when all you have to do is list the way we listed.
Make a good point.
Go ahead, Charlie. Then go ahead and make your point right now. Why, again, you're making the point of why now we're going more broad to healthcare. Why is the healthcare reality under Donald Trump, under MAGA, better than the alternative?
And I understand you're the host and that you got to keep the show moving and all. I understand that, but the cuts in slows down the process of actually getting to the substance.
And how is this doing? And how's this doing for us? How is this doing?
I was just about to say, but you cut me off again. You interrupted me again.
You're just
interrupting me. Every time. I don't believe you. I feel like this is just a troll. I don't believe it.
Every time you cut me off, I was one word away from getting to the point. Great. Go ahead.
I am. Now, watch.
MAGA is better for healthcare for women because go.
Oh, you said that it's banned in some states, completely banned, top down, right? If that is the case, right, we would probably, the best thing we can do, right, because there's not much we can change right now. If you're saying, we could just change the abortion laws like that, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to just even though I as a MAGA person agree that rape and incest, you should be able to get an abortion. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Are you arguing against MAGA right now? What's your point?
No, I'm not. What I'm saying, I'm just putting the preface. I believe that MAGA is doing the next best thing, which is trying to bring down rape. So if you can't just switch the laws, because I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's a state law. I mean, what is Trump going to do? Go to Texas and be like, switch it? He's not probably like
Okay,
focused
great.
on
So
that,
now,
unfortunately.
now
For
we're
people
gonna
that care
because you're
about that.
trying to go
So
off
if
a bunch
bring
again.
down
Now
rape-
we're gonna lock back into what we're actually talking about. MAGA is better because they're trying to reduce rape. So the guy who won't release the
Yeah,
Epstein
and-
file,
and-
who has been credibly accused of rape, convicted of sexual assault, that guy, he is trying to reduce rape, and he is trying to reduce rape by what?
Yeah, so the Epstein files thing, I'm not a fan of either. You can ask any Trump person. That's the one thing. That and the vaccines, we're not big fans of. We're not big fans of, everything, of course. But I will say that if you are taking, look, and I think I've heard you talk about this. You can completely disagree. But if you
MAGA
really
is trying
take the
to
numbers, if you really-
reduce rape by what?
You're not letting me say it. Please stop interrupting.
Are you
If
going to
you're
actually
trying
answer
reduce
that
the number,
question?
okay, so if you're trying to reduce the number of rapes that are happening in the country as a whole, you have to decrease the number of people that would commit rapes, right? So these are, if he has a lot of policies that
So
are
men?
trying to target people that have
We're getting rid of
history
cops?
of rape. No, he has policies right now that are targeting people that came from countries that, released people from their prisons
Got
to
it.
bring them into our country.
Okay,
Like,
finally we
people
got
have-
there. Finally we got there. All right, good. Because you took so long to get there, I am now going to summarize and then give you a chance to respond because Charlie took forever. So I might put words in his mouth because we're 27 minutes in to finally get to the substance. Charlie thinks that Trump is better for women because he's going after the people who commit the rapes. And what does he mean by that? Brown people from other countries. When brown people from other countries, immigrants, and undocumented immigrants are actually less likely to commit crimes and less likely to commit rapes. And in fact, it is still that you are most likely to be assaulted or raped by a man that you know, by a family member. So even if he could come in here and say he's trying to reduce rapes, the communities would be, as he's trying to blame it on a community that is othered in our society, even when those crimes happen from those communities, they happen within their communities. So it's more like if we deport the whole community, not only will we deport the rapist, we'll also deport the victim, which kind of lowers it's like a double lowering number. What a bonus. Meanwhile, it is still much more likely that you are going to be raped by an American citizen that you know if you are an American citizen. Cis men disproportionately commit the rapes, and there is nothing actually targeted by the Trump administration after going at the core issues, just getting rid of the people that they profile to be rapists. So when we're talking about what the alternative would be, the alternative under the Harris administration was going to be increased funding to poor areas and more comprehensive sexual education and adding to sexual education on consent itself. And in fact, making people who are convicted of rape, who are even accused of rape, and who sexually assault, less comfortable in society. But right now, if you are accused of rape and sexual assault, you might even get pardoned by Donald Trump. Or what is the name of the man who is the rapist he just put into his administration? He was just around a bunch of kids recently signing something with this guy. Has just added to. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. I'm sure somebody in chat will find it before. So basically, what this comes down to is, and I already mentioned this at the beginning of the show. Everything that these people do, they don't have real points. They only have identity politics. They don't have real policies. They only have identity politics. So the caller before Charlie was better for women because of trans people. And now it's better for women because of immigrants, because of brown people, because of people I'm scared of, and because of stats that I don't know or understand. So it's not going to be policies that benefit. It's going to be this ultra broad. I'm sort of saying, even though I don't have the data to back up, if we get rid of immigrants, rape will be down, not because we've actually addressed what causes people to rape, not because we have addressed inequality, not because we've addressed systemic issues, but because if you have a smaller population, there will be less rapes. The percentages, those aren't really going to change, but the percentage of a smaller number is a smaller number. So we have really been, oh, by the way, Pete Hegseth has also been accused of sexual assault and rape, but there's a guy specifically, Jason Miller is continuing to face a civil rape lawsuit. Matt Gaetz whose own party doesn't like him because of his accusations of sex trafficking and sexual misconduct, was going to be Trump's attorney general. Now he's just acting in a sort of counsel position. But I'm trying to remember, was it actually a pedophile? Who was the fucking pedophile? I remember him standing up there. And he signed something at an event with children. This is the so no policies, and we can point to policies that make it worse, but this broad idea. So anyway, we'll bring Charlie back on. Go ahead, Charlie, and continue, since we finally got it, and I saved you a lot of time by summarizing. If we get rid of immigrants, the number of people will be smaller, therefore rape should be smaller. We won't actually systemically address the issues that cause rape.
All right, Jimmy. First off, don't really appreciate, I mean, I saw this coming, but I don't really appreciate the whole painting someone as a racist when, you don't, when you take their position, you twist it around, you make it do 3 backflips, and you just call them a racist. Like, that isn't, a good debate.
You don't appreciate it, Charlie?
That's not
hey, Charlie. It took you 27 minutes to get to immigrants is the real reason. You are a racist.
It wouldn't have taken 27 minutes if you would have let me.
If you'd I believe you might have revealed you were a racist in the first minute if you felt safer. I think if you were around MAGA people, you would have just said it. But yeah, no, I fully do believe you're a racist.
Okay, well, my girlfriend's Jamaican, so I don't know what kind of.
Oh my God, is your girlfriend Jamaican? Oh, is your girlfriend Jamaican? That makes you not racist.
I don't know what kind of racism I'm participating in.
And you see her, and and I bet you see your girlfriend as your equal too, huh? Don't worry, I think you're sexist too.
Do I see my girlfriend as my equal?
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah, I believe you.
Of course, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, listen, Jimmy.
When has a racist ever dated a person of color?
I don't really know what you're saying anymore. Anyways, Jimmy, listen. Not a racist, not a transphobic or sexphobic or whatever you want to say.
Right,
let's get down to the actual meat of the conversation.
Make a stat-based argument that getting rid of immigrants will address the systemic issue with sexual assault and sexual violence in our country.
Jimmy, I would be honored to. It would be
great.
A pleasure. I even
try not to be racist.
In there too.
Try to actually get to the point.
Yeah. So if you go ahead and you take, a group of people, it doesn't matter if they're brown or whatever freaking color they are. It doesn't matter. But you take a group of people.
But in this case, it will be brown.
Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But listen, not every person that came through our southern border is brown. You realize that, right? But
do you
got to understand, if you take, you got to take, you're just lumping them all up as brown. They're not all brown. There's plenty of skin shades out there. But listen. I believe that I
don't think you care about those ones. I don't think you're worried about the other ones.
I care about all people, and I understand why some people want to come to America because it's an amazing place. But I also
because you're dating a Jamaican.
There's a lot of I also understand that there isn't, not everybody in this world is a great dude, and you gotta understand that some of these countries,
that's true,
they are not as good. There's not as good people as me and you, right? And some of these countries, they don't really have any. You were talking about sexual education and all that. You're talking about all these great things that the Harris administration wants to do to educate people to be better people, and stuff like that. Some of these countries, maybe they don't have the money for it. Maybe they just, they just don't have the time for it. Whatever it is, the reason they're not doing this to their young men. They're not really raising them the way that a lot of the places in America we're trying to raise our young men. Right? The way you were raised is probably not the way they were raised, and the way you were raised had more money.
Wish I had a watch on to make these gestures a little bit more significant. Hey, let's say you get your way and all the illegal immigrants are gone, but rape still exists. What current Trump policy will be reducing those rapes?
Well, see, here's a good point here. The easiest way to cut down on rape is to cut down on crime in general. If you cut down on crime in general, the same person
what's the best way to cut down on crime in general?
I can get to that. But if you
you can get to it right now. Right? I agree. Reducing crime is the best way to address lots of things. I mean, rape, theft, all those things. What's the best way to do it?
To reduce crime is definitely funding for the police force. I mean, my mom was dating a police officer.
You were so close. You said funding, and I thought you had it. In fact, it's the opposite. If you do what I have in mind, you can dramatically reduce the funding for the police force.
I understand what you're saying. You're basically getting at like a make communities flourish more and educate them more, which is definitely a method. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking like
it's the method.
If we're talking at like a
it's the method, because actually the prison system creates new criminals and more severe criminals.
Also, police officers I'm looking at this study here, perpetrate domestic violence at a higher rate than the general population, 28% versus 16%.
But thank goodness the cops will be in your house to stop you from raping. It's fucking. Honestly, at this point, Charlie, I'm literally. I don't know if you can see the screen. I've laid back because you're doing my job for me at this point. It's not even controversial to say that the number one way to reduce crime is to increase funding for education and economic flourishing, to fund welfare programs, to disincentivize people from committing crimes because they don't need to commit crimes to survive. And in a population that is more well economically supported and have a higher sense of community, the chances of all crimes go way down.
But can we both agree that when you're saying what's a policy you can implement today that you can cut down on crime right now, you have to jump to the police force argument. You can't, because education's a process. People have to
we have
learn.
more than enough police. We don't have enough social workers. If you funded more social workers and you funded more specific to the consequences of domestic violence, specific to things like weapon ownership and gun ownership, you switch to mandatory anger management and actual systems that are effective. You literally do, housing, alternative housing, literally. Of all of the things you can do, adding more cops will do the least good. I don't know if you've noticed in this country, there isn't less rape in the places with the most police, especially since the police often are committing the rape.
You don't think that police officers can be social workers as well? Do you not think that they have that capacity? Because like I said,
man, you know what? I think they can if they aren't also police workers. You can be a police worker or a social worker. You actually can't. They are in conflict with each other. The police have an economic incentive to imprison more people. And as long as the prison system is for profit and an alternative to taxes is getting people into prison or getting people ticketed, you are quite correct. You actually, if you are a social worker, you can't be a cop. And if you are a cop, you can't be a social worker. It would be like asking if the mafia would make good lawyers. Are you fucking kidding me? They are in direct conflict with each other. One actually serves the people, the other serves the government. Fuck no. Can the police be social workers? Jesus Christ, what a dumb question.
We can't even talk on that. We can't talk on that because you're going to categorize it completely differently than it is in reality.
We never can talk on the things that you lose on.
No, but we're just not going to, because if you're going to categorize it like that, it's impossible to have a conversation. You're basically just saying they're the bad guys, there's no potential there, and you're not categorizing them accurately. So it's like you can't even.
It's funny how it's interesting that you think your point is so strong, but you have to remove the nuance of my actual point and the reasons and reduce it to like the tiniest version you can actually. It's so strong, but you do have to ignore all of the other stuff I said. It's the problem here is that we can't debate it for whatever bullshit reason we're giving. The problem here is you can't debate with the truth. You can't debate with the facts.
When I was in high school. And you know the DARE program? Are you aware of what the DARE program is?
Yeah, it was super successful. I still have a DARE shirt somewhere. Yep.
You have a DARE shirt? Listen, I'm here to tell you that the DARE program was, the kids are still doing drugs, man. They're still doing drugs and they're still getting high and all that stuff. But you got to understand, is that being a police officer or is that being a social worker? They can, be social workers. They can do that. You understand that?
No, they can't.
It's possible.
Saying that because a cop can go in and give a presentation on why drugs are bad makes them adequately able to then also be a social worker is fucking nuts. A cop is incentivized to handcuff and incarcerate a person who commits a crime,
why would they
even
do
if the crime is even if the victim of the crime is only the individual themselves, whereas a social worker is incentivized to solve the issue behind, and often is doing so with their hands tied behind their back. I don't think so, but often doing so with their hands tied behind their back, because what they do need is the funding going to the police to have tanks
and resources.
To instead say, I need housing and food for this woman away from this man. Because right now she has no other resources. Option. But instead, we're going to put the man in prison for our source of separation, where he is going to get radicalized further into crime and end up in a cycle where he keeps going back.
I want to hear what Promise had to say. I haven't heard her.
I'm just repeating what Jimmy said. Social workers do not do what cops do. It's completely different. It's oftentimes completely opposing each other. And social workers need resources. They don't need more armed men coming in and meeting violence with violence. That is proven to not be what stops rape.
Yeah. Like I said, we're probably this is just going to be something we have to disagree on, because if you can categorize police like how you see in the YouTube videos, and trust me, I see the YouTube videos, and it pisses me off. You ever see a cop like power trip? It pisses you off more than almost anything you could think of.
How does this aside fucking matter at all? I don't think you know how to not do a tangent. You're aside here now about, I'm not even saying every cop goes on a power trip. What percentage of police officers have a college degree? What percentage of police officers have a college degree? Guess.
I'm not going to guess there, Jimmy. These people...
Right. It's less than a third have a 4-year degree. It's less than a third have a 4-year degree. Does being a social worker require a degree?
Most likely.
Yes, it does. So there you go. Being a cop doesn't require a degree. Being a social worker does. So on that qualification alone, most police officers wouldn't be able to be a social worker. So now we have to get into what kind of degree. And then even that 30% that has one, you're cutting out a bunch. So then we're just getting back down to the tiny minority of, let's say, 10% of police that potentially, though unlikely because they don't probably have a social work related degree, but let's say 10% of them do. Can that 10% also be social workers? And I've already given you why no, because they have different goals. One supports a for-prison profit system and government tax alternative system, and the other one is there meant to be treating the individuals and keeping a population healthy. It is meant to getting drug addicts into rehab, not into prison. They serve, I assume you like the Bible, you cannot serve two masters, and these are in complete conflict with each other.
You assumed wrong. I'm an atheist, but that's why the marriage
that's just sad
you had
to
a couple days
I
ago.
I assumed wrong because you argue like a theist.
Of course I probably do. I mean, all of the people I know are God fearing, and that's good for them.
That should embarrass you to admit.
What's that?
That should embarrass you to admit.
That the people that I know, like, that are
no, that you argue like a theist. You said, of course I do. That should embarrass you to admit.
Okay, well, I'm just not embarrassed. Like, I used to be extremely liberal. I live in probably the most liberal place in the country. Don't try and find where I live, people, because I know you don't like me, but...
Liberal's gross.
Listen, brother,
why would you brag about being a liberal? Try a real solution one day.
I used to be a very liberal. I used to hate Trump. Probably more than you. But listen.
Liberalism's gross.
Yeah,
only a liberal would be able to, like an actual authentic liberal, only a liberal could convert to MAGA. Go be an actual leftist based in humanism and leftism. You're not going to make yourself over to the MAGA side. You're not going to go, oh, that MAGA people, these people actually they're coming around.
No, yeah, I was a major Democrat, but
Democrats aren't on the left either. I'm also not a Democrat. Join the left. Do a real solution one day.
What is the left if it's not Democrat? I don't understand.
My God, the amount of information you are not consuming. The left would be the not capitalists, the not millionaires. In America, we have no left party. In other countries, they have left, though many of them are just center of left, but they have labor parties. They have people who serve the interests of the workers and the labor and the individuals more than the millionaires, the billionaires, the oligarchs. So if you are a capitalist and you are serving capitalism and you are trying to preserve capitalism, you are on the right. In any other country besides America, Joe Biden would not have been considered some liberal progressive socialist. He would literally be considered right wing. But America, we have a special left and right. And the reason we do is because the millionaires have taken hold, the billionaires have taken hold, rich people control the country. So if you think that the left and the right are the Democrats versus the Republicans, even though they're both on the right, you never actually consider the left. You never considered joining the left, which will reduce their power, reduce their money, increase equality, increase democracy. Literally, the reason you think the Democrats are on the left is to make sure you never accidentally end up on the left. That is what is happening. The two-party system in America is really a one-party system to distract you from that there's an actual alternative to all this bullshit. And liberalism is essentially, I have here in front of me a bleeding wound. It needs stitches and disinfecting. I think I'll put a Band-Aid on it. And they feel real great because they're like, well, I put a Band-Aid. The Republicans want to tear it open and bleed it out. And it's like, well, if we'll bleed it out, if they mean to die, though, that's just God's will. We'll just open up the wound. If they heal, they're better. Then that's great. Survival of the fittest, bleed it out. That's the way. That's what you're choosing from. Whereas the left goes, let's stitch up the fucking wound and disinfect it. And you're sitting here going, I used to be like you, a liberal. Blah, 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 blah. You've never been a leftist. You've never been an atheist based in skepticism. So you have no fucking clue what my position is.
I'm just American left end, whatever the definition you would use.
Okay, so the right.
I used to believe exactly what you believe. Exactly what you believe is what I used to believe. Is what I'm saying.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
I promise you I did. I promise you. But listen, when you were talking about the cops and when you were talking about
if we were in the government system, what would happen to companies if we went to the government system that I believe in?
What would happen to the companies if we went to the government system you believe in?
Yeah. Since you had my exact same beliefs, what was your old belief about what should happen to companies?
I mean, generally, I probably had your beliefs, and I probably was pretty close. But this is a losing question for me because you can just switch it to whatever you need it to be. But
nope, I don't have. No. Excuse me. I can't switch it wherever I need it to be because there are thousands of hours of me on this channel answering that question. So I can't switch it because it would be easy to prove I'm lying. So what do I believe? What did you used to believe that I believe now, since we have the same belief, should happen to companies if we change to our common, your past, my current political system?
Fair point, I guess. That actually makes sense. You probably believe that the companies should raise minimum wage, I'm assuming. You probably believe that the companies should...
The companies don't have a choice over minimum wage. Companies, I'll answer because you don't believe what I believe. The companies would be broken up dramatically and they would become worker owned. They would become co-ops. Do you know what a co-op is?
Co-ops? No.
Then you don't have you didn't believe what I believe. Because not knowing
but majority
that...
on your stances. Maybe, and you know what? I probably would. If you explained this to me, a couple of years ago, I probably would totally agree with you. But anyways, listen.
So back when I was more impressionable from what I thought was the left, I probably would have let you just tell me what to believe, which means I believed what you believe now. I'm very unimpressed.
Well, don't you think?
Go ahead, make your last point. Are you good? Are you good, Charlie? Are you good? Promise. Let him make his last points and then call it a day. No, I just forgot. I told you I don't feel well. I had a brain blank. I can't remember promise.
If he has
do you have anything of substance?
Then we can hear it, and then I'm done.
Yeah. All right. There. By the way, I think you would want to raise minimum. I think you would want the minimum wage.
You said the companies would raise the minimum wage. Companies don't choose the minimum wage. So no, I don't agree that in my policy world, the companies would raise the minimum wage. And by the way, it wouldn't even be about a minimum wage, it'd be about a livable wage. The only wage that I'd put a hard number on would end up being the maximum wage, which we would have. Now, go ahead, make your final substantive point.
All right, so we're past the cops and the social workers. We're not going to agree there because you define them differently than I define them. And even if let's just say 100%, let's just say you're correct 100%, and that is the way to, it's a conflict of interest, and it just would never work. If you put money towards it and you put funding towards it, you can change the system. You can change the policing system. You can, if you put money towards it, you can do anything. You can change the policing system if they put money towards it and make it more social worker oriented, of course. Wouldn't it be better if the cops were also social workers? Like, wouldn't that be great? But
no.
Listen,
it wouldn't. It literally wouldn't be better. It would be better if they were separate. It would be better if my producer isn't also running the accounting of my company, because they're different skill sets. And guess what? My producer doesn't run the accounting at my company because they're different skill sets.
But what if they could? Anyways, the point is, if you wanted to create,
then I would be giving them too much work in a work week. They should still do one or the other, and they will specialize. I'd rather them do one job well than two jobs mediocrely, because now they're short on time and their expectations are way too high. By the way, in a small business, that kind of shit does happen. It is the actual advantage of making money and expanding. As a small business owner who's gone from just me to now a company with like 20 to 30 people involved, I can literally tell you the first thing you start doing is going, there are jobs I don't do as well, and I'm being way overstretched, being asked to do everything. So I'm going to now hire people to especially do one thing or another. That's how it works.
By the way, congratulations on your company. I think growing a small business and hiring people, giving people more jobs is a great thing. I don't think that logic applies to police officers who are in the community not being able to do social work on, maybe there's not a crime happening at that second, but anyways, listen.
Go ask police. Since you don't believe that, go ask police. Go ask police. I'm not joking.
I just told you my mom's boyfriend is
Go ask cops if they think they should be social workers too, or if they would like to be equipped with more social workers and more people to answer things that they don't see themselves as helpful for, whether it's things where they want to bring a social worker with them or things that a social worker should be going out to. You will actually find that the majority of them, while there's going to be some douchebag that apparently you were going to give as an example, the majority of them actually do want more specialized help, not to add to their list of things they need to do. Fewer cops, making sure that traffic laws are being held and going out for the extreme and having like a SWAT situation on the occasion we need it, like you see in more European countries. That would be great if the other stuff were being handled by the people specialized to those things.
The cops that I know, and I know quite a bit of cops, like I said.
I don't care about the cops you know. Like you said, you can just say whatever you need here to change it for whatever. Go look at the stats. I can't know everyone in the world, Jimmy. I can't know everyone in the world. You can look at the stats. These have been studied. You can Google it, buddy. You can start the information gathering outside of just what your locals are telling you.
If you become a cop because you just want to arrest people and be a douchebag, that person's always going to just want to be a douchebag and arrest people. But if you become a cop because you actually want to help the community and be a good person,
then become a social worker instead.
On board with social work. Anyways, listen.
Become a social worker instead if you want to be a social worker. If you want to maintain order because you are maintaining traffic laws and you are responding to extreme situations that warrant it, become a cop. And there is a version of the police in the future that doesn't fucking suck, but right now they systemically suck. Systemically.
Also, MAGA has not introduced any like this has nothing. This has nothing to do with MAGA either, because it's not like MAGA's. They're doing the opposite of this. They're not implementing policies to train cops to be more compassionate and to figure out how to handle complex social situations. They're saying, hey, if you want to wear a cool outfit and wear a mask and go arrest people, you should come join ICE. So even your point is going against MAGA, which is what we thought you were calling into defense. But I don't think we ever got there. And I feel like we've come to the end of this conversation.
It's hard to believe that MAGA is helping out women when we can watch ICE brutalize women because they weren't keen to just listen to their bullshit. An unmarked masked person comes up and starts screaming at them.
That was not the way the conversation went down, and that's not the way the conversation was formatted. Let's not be dishonest. But I want to talk about women. Can we talk about the women and ICE? You brought up ICE.
No,
No,
we're pretty good to go.
we're at
Pretty much
58
gonna waste
minutes.
time.
We're at 58 minutes. I'm going to bed. We never got anywhere.
Good night, Charlie. Watch your call back and learn how to make a succinct point and call back in. We'll see you later.
Nobody ever said how Trump's stopping crime. Nobody ever said how ICE is not stopping crime.
Call us next week when you can say it in the first 5 minutes of the call.
Nobody said how that criminal is stopping crime, not stopping crime.
Oh, God.
That was a lot. Do we have any other super chats to read? Let's have a look how far back we went. Little boy, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm going to eat you tonight. He is so needy ever since we put him on a diet. And he just thinks, by a diet, I mean like, he was probably just every now and then he'd come up and he'd like touch us. Oh, he wants food. All right, we'll just tell the bowl to give him another 1/12 of a cup a few times a day. And now we're just keeping him on a rigid schedule with the right amount to make sure he doesn't overeat. And he's such fucking, it's our own fault, but he's such a dick. There's no bad cats. There's just bad cat owners. Let's see. Rihanna Keeves, promise you're awesome. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Bryn says, thanks, Forrest. The fun show. What? Forrest isn't here. Meg said, because I know your partner and know she'd love it, I vote Evan Star because Lord of the Rings always wins. Thanks, Meg. Yeah, I'd be down. Povalask QW says, vertical format is annoying because my app crops the video, so I only see Promise's neck and Jimmy's hair. Well, that's a weird app. May I suggest the YouTube app instead? I would very much suggest you watch it on YouTube instead of whatever that app is. Let's see. Nisha says, begging y'all to please end this call for all our sanities. Remember the Just Don't Look song? Meg says, so Charlie only agrees pregnant people deserve the right to bodily autonomy only after theirs has been violated by someone else first. Meg, that's such a good point. I plan to steal it. So thank you. That is a good point. They should have autonomy if someone took theirs away, but not sooner. And damn it, Josh says, it was Lawrence Taylor, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Yeah. Fucking piece of shit sexual predator. You are more comfortable as a sexual predator if Donald Trump is president, period. Like that is the case. But he's better for women. Promise, do you want to sing our outro song?
Absolutely not. Go ahead.
I really wish you would, though.
Did you how much of you thought I was going to say sure and then do that?
Of course I didn't believe that. Can you give me a good glare? Really there we go. All right. You can fade to black after this. Her name is Promise and you're watching her glare it out. She thought there would be more.